Hello, once again. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to World Combat Sports. Well, what's up, everyone? Hopefully, everyone's work week is starting off just fine. You know where it's at. The weekend has come and gone, and we're sitting at the first day, that Monday. Everybody want to avoid. Looking forward to the next Thursday, one day closer to another weekend. You know what I'm saying? Um, who would have thought? The year's moving by pretty good. The vaccines are out. Boxing has begun to open up in several regional locations. So, the boxing fans are looking to, revisit the natural setting of some of these big fights. But the one problem that we have, there aren't enough big names out there right now, that we can talk about making reservations for. So, boxing is still trying to fire up and get going and trying to come up with these big fights. But the good thing about it is, um, I will assume it's going to be heavy near the end of the year. I truly believe it's going to be very heavy fight cards at the end of the year, and that's pretty much what where boxing is going to jump outside this pandemic. You're gonna let they're gonna allow the vaccines to start. You know, um, I don't know, fifth route, build up their numbers. See what the COVID-19 numbers are like. With months to come with the vaccine, people taking vaccines before they start opening this up to full capacity consistently um, inside the U.S. footprint. We already know what Texas is doing, Florida. Um, Not too long from now, Georgia will be on the same um, playing field. Vegas, from my understanding, is opening up to a partial capacity, not full capacity. So that's good. And also NYC. That's the big one. NYC, we're looking for them to increase those numbers from the Barclays to the MSG. 2,000, 1,800 is not enough people for them to make a trip over there and see a fight. I mean, that's extremely a lot of gaps in the seats. I mean, a lot of gaps in the arenas. Still practicing social distancing. But then you look at the fight card with Virgil Ortiz and Maurice Hooker. I mean, that place was packed. It was like it used to be. So I've been having some conversations with some people, right? Michael Johnson Boxing Talk. What's good? What they do, man? I've been having conversations with some people and trying to get a feel of what they think about the hoopla that's going on with, Fury Joshua. This is real talk. Like, I did this before when I was on live. I went up and asked random people, to kind of get their take on what they think about a certain fight. So, being that all the back and forth about what the numbers will be and how big this fight will generate, the numbers it would generate rather, and this place in history, I wanted to see if some of the random public over here are on the same sheet of music, because I don't think so. And I've actually been out there, and a lot of these people, they don't want you putting them on camera, asking them a question about something they don't know nothing about, and then it might go viral for the wrong reason, whatever the case may be. Most of these casters out here asking these random questions, they asked them previously, do you want to talk about this particular, and they agree, yes or no, blah blah blah, and then they ask them the question with the camera on. With boxing, you would be amazed. Not a lot of people are willing to test their knowledge of boxing. So I asked them off camera. I asked about, it had to be about 30 over a period of time, this year. And I was saying to myself, let me be as simplistic, transparent as possible. I said, first of all, do you know who Tyson Fury is? Most of the people that had an inclination as what boxing was, they said, that's the guy who fought Deontay Wilder, right? That's what they say. That's the guy who, and this is not all black people, okay? They say, he's the one that fought Deontay Wilder, right? I said, do you know Anthony Joshua? And a lot of people don't know who Anthony Joshua is. That's real fact. They don't know who Anthony Joshua is, man. I can get a faster reaction from asking people about Tyson Fury, but they attach him to one fighter. They attach him to one fighter. It's not Klitschko. It's not Sefa Safari. It's not Tom Schwartz, Francisco Pianetta, Otto Wallin. It is Deontay Wilder. That's real talk. And I say, okay, let me ask you this. So if you know Tyson Fury from Deontay Wilder, okay, what's another fight that you know him from? You know, what's another fight you can name that he was in? And they really have a hard time figuring out another fight that he was in. Either one, they're not familiar with the name of the opponents, or two, they're not following Tyson Fury heavy like that. Now, granted, in the Staples Center and the MGM Grand when he fought Deontay Wilder, yeah, that was some somewhat boos or jeers, coming from Deontay Wilder on his home soil, and cheers for Tyson Fury. And I would be remiss to say that those were the UK fans that was in attendance at those two events, because, from my understanding, the promotion tried to bring in as much UK fans as possible to build it up and to cheer Tyson Fury. But when I'm asking the question, who is Tyson Fury? I get this, attachment to Deontay Wilder, period. On the side of Anthony Joshua, people really aren't quick to even know who he is. When they did refer to him, they would say, well, Anthony Joshua, he's the UK dude, right? They would put him over there at the UK instead of saying, okay, he's the one who fought Klitschko. You know what I'm saying? Even with Tyson Fury, they won't even attach him to Klitschko. That's how less of casual. I mean, I would put them temporaries. I would put them at the bottom of the knowledge base when it comes to boxing to pretty much understand who I'm asking them about. So they really don't even know about the Klitschkos. So they don't even attach Anthony Joshua to the Klitschko fight. So when I ask, okay, Anthony Joshua, he's a UK dude. So can you tell me about one of his big fights that you remember? A lot of them don't even know a fight that Anthony Joshua attached him to. A good memorable fight. Not even the Andy Ruiz fight. See, for me, collectively, this is something I want to do into a video sense. But me doing it by myself, sometimes people are like, they're skeptical down here in the South, unless you're around a fight night down here, then maybe you'll get a bit more participation from people who actually know about boxing. And that's my next step. I'm trying to visit the fight card and get the true natural reactions of these fans about this fight. And I'm going to post videos on it. I'm not going to ask leading open-ended questions to influence or persuade anybody either way. I just want to prove to the boxing world this fight between Joshua and Fury, if it happened, it's not as big as all the other mouthpieces out there are leading on to be. It's not that big, because they simply not the Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweathers. They simply not the Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson, the Holyfields and Tysons. You know what I'm saying? They're not the Oscar De La Hoyas. They're not. They're simply not. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, what about Conor McGregor? If Conor McGregor can do it, then Tyson Fury can do it. Not so much, because believe it or not, I put Conor McGregor as a bigger name at that time than Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua combined. A lot of people knew Conor McGregor off his bravado, the trash talking that he was able to do over several fights, what he was able to achieve by knocking out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, and then Eddie Alvarez, and also his 2 fights with Nate Diaz. So Conor McGregor, in a sense, grew. He had a meteoric rise very, very quick on a rocket pack. And he shot to the top of the fight fans and mixed martial arts that bled over to boxing a little bit, because he's that guy. Back then, He can sell you anything. He can pretty much talk that trash. And the way he talked trash, people believed it. Just like people use his saying to this day when Jeremy Stevens saying, you know what, I'm the toughest at this weight class. When I hit guys, they don't get up. And then Conor McGregor looking back at this guy. Look, he hasn't even fought. He hasn't even fought this guy. Came close to fighting this guy. He turns around and say, "Who the fuck is that guy?" Everybody ran with that. That went viral. He the one that started to my tell your lady it's red panties night. You made it, baby. You know, the one-liners that he said, people took it and ran with it. I will put Conor McGregor linking up with Floyd Mayweather because Conor McGregor was also a superstar in the US in mixed martial arts. He was a superstar. Hands down. Tone Brown in the building. What's good? Salute to you. Big dog. What's good? Salute WCS Fury and Joshua don't move the needle. Not big US stars. That's what I'm saying. What's going on, J Blues? That's what I'm saying, big dog. We need to understand how that works. So I'm definitely trying to work on a video of asking random people. I wanna ask, and I'm gonna chop the clips up. I want to ask a minimum of 20 to 25 people on camera at a boxing match regionally and ask them about this Fury Joshua. Because a lot of people have it, you know, they're confused as to the mouthpieces that's putting this out on social media and what will actually take place. Do you hear people talking about Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua? Do you hear people speaking of Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder numbers coming close to Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield? Do you hear people talking about these fights as being these phenomenal, you know, cards that the PPV buys was out of this world? Do you hear individuals talking about fights of this era and what they've been able to gross? You don't. You hear the fights happening, but you don't hear people talking about them like, okay, this fight did incredible numbers. The Charlo brothers was on the same fight card on the same fight night. They didn't do incredible numbers. The only one that really did incredible free viewership numbers was the Vasyl Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. You know, view 4 million plus views, right? Free TV. All right. Of course, that's going to generate more viewership from people who doesn't have to reach in the pocket and pay for that fight. When it comes to Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, straying away from the US market and going over to the sandbox once again, it's gonna hurt them incredibly. The fact that they're not US superstars, nor do you allow them to fight in the US so the US can purchase and have an understanding to purchase tickets for this live event with max capacity. You know what I'm saying? You're depriving the US fans of a fight that may be a sleeper if you gave enough promo over here in the US for this fight to happen on the big stage. But yet they can't do it. It just goes back to when everybody was thinking Eddie Hearns is going to come over here and take over boxing in the US. I mean, how gullible and stupid do you have to be to think that Eddie Hearns is going to come over here and be the grand poobah of boxing in the US? It's just not going to happen. So therefore, they have to go across in the sandbox where you have individuals that's willing to pay an extremely high site fee to put this fight on. It generated more views because it was a better fight, not because it was on free TV. I mean, that's a 50-50 deal because people didn't have to pay for it. You just cannot put the back end of that because it was on free TV. Just exclude that. Yeah, a lot more people watched that fight because it was on free TV and attached your two names to it and it made a lot of sense for people to tune in. Why? Because for one, it was for all the belts, first and foremost. Yes, I agree with you, Jay Blue. It was a better fight than Joshua Tyson Fury, but it was on free TV. And at that time in October of 2020, we wasn't even out of the pandemic heavy. We wasn't even like kicking the vaccines yet. You know what I'm saying? We were still struggling as a boxing community. When people found out that fight was going to be free TV, they say, hell yeah, I'm going to tune in for that shit. You got Vasil Lomachenko, top 2 pound for pound in the world. Teofimo Lopez going in there to face the top 2 pound for pound. Yes, man, it was because it was on free TV. Indeed, people tuned in. So it's a 50-50. I'll show you love like on the first half that, yeah, it was a better fight. But also, you have to blend in the fact that it was on free TV and people want to take a look at it. Because it was a very interesting and exciting matchup with all the belts on the line and the magnitude of it. Yeah, people's going to check it out, bro. Heat of a true fight spreads. Stars versus cans will only garner hardcore fans. Heat of a true fight spreads. Stars versus cans will only garner hardcore fans. PPV or not. What's going on, D Hodges? What's good? Brotherhood in the building. What's good? What's good, my brother? Yeah, Wilder vs. Fury 2 was free. It would have done like 10 million views. And see, that's a whole different side of the ball game. Because I cannot, get on here and put that scenario as far as free TV because it never would have happened. But I agree. If that fight would have been on free TV, of course it would have exceeded those numbers. But it won't exceed, in my opinion, 1.5 with everything that involves this, all the variables that involve this fight. All the variables, y'all. The fact that they're not U.S. superstars. Second of all, the fight is not going to be on U.S. soil. Third of all, we have two individuals that are known somewhat internally to the boxing universe, but not by all. And you have individuals that know Tyson Fury off Deontay Wilder's fight. And then when asked about Anthony Joshua, people are somewhat, puzzled a little bit. They hesitate to know who Anthony Joshua is. And then you say, okay, name one good fight Anthony Joshua was in. Just talk to him. There's no right or wrong answer. Just tell me what is the best Anthony Joshua fight you've seen. And no one can come up. I'm talking about no one can come up with one fight that they remember Anthony Joshua. Not even him being knocked out or stopped. You know what I'm saying? By Andy Ruiz. That just goes to show you not many people knew about Andy Ruiz and not many people knew about Anthony Joshua. And it was over here at the MSG. So that just goes to show you that Anthony Joshua, all the people that were saying that he was selling out over there. Yeah, you probably, you selling out over there in the O2. Correct. You sold out Wembley Wembley Stadium one time over there when you had a dance partner by the name of Vladimir Klitschko. Period. Anthony Joshua hasn't been able to sell out something that's like Jay Blue said, stars versus cans. He hasn't been able to do that. But when we look at the entire picture of the way people was framing Anthony Joshua's name in the lights, that is all UK. You know how many times I say to myself, I was like, I wish Anthony Joshua would just come over here to the US, just make the commitment, come over here to the US and fight some of the heavyweights over here in the US footprint. Like, this is one thing that was disappointing about where I knew Anthony Joshua will probably more than likely never be a US star. When he did come over here for the press for Jarrell Miller, they brought media, UK media, whether the UK media was already residing here in the US or in the UK. That was the only media per se that was allowed to ask him questions when he had this moderated, this monitored, this concealed, confined media scrum, this Q&A. There were only specific designated media voices there asking him I'm talking about Charmin soft questions. I'm talking about super charming soft questions. It wasn't no freaking regular media that you see on here every day. I'm saying it wasn't myself. It wasn't the LDBC members. It wasn't Blue Blood up there because that's his home soil over there. He wasn't allowed to ask the questions. You didn't hear TBV up there. You didn't hear hardly any of these other regular media outlets over here that cover boxing. You didn't see them over there. You didn't see Jacko Fitness, over there. They had all their designated media to ask Joshua the soft questions. That's why I said to myself, he'll never be a huge superstar in the US because he didn't allow himself to be accessible like Tyson Fury. At least we could say Tyson Fury, he's over here acting a complete fool and he would entertain the fans. Joshua, he was coming over here like he was a dignitary. You know what I'm saying? He came over here like he was a dignitary and shit. Like motherfucker getting off the damn Air Force One and stepping down and shit. Motherfucker got Secret Service with him and got shit surrounded. And he only had designated people to ask him those questions. No, this your first time come over here to fight in the US. You should have had all of us. Whether the questions were soft or hard. You know what I'm saying? You should have allowed us to freaking ask those questions to build up the fight. But the only conclusion I can come to with Joshua, he wasn't confident in coming over here. So he really didn't want to hear from us because he wasn't sure what to say. Like Joshua is one of those guys where his fans might feel for him because it seems like whenever he's talking on the microphone, Eddie Hearns is not too far off in the shade. It's almost like you rarely hear Anthony Joshua just out here just kicking it. He's either in a gym, he's saying some short words, short sentences. He's either, with Eddie Hearns, whatever. But you never see him just out here, like say Deontay Wilder having an interview with 78 Sports, right? Can you imagine what it would do for Anthony Joshua if he had an interview with just one channel, just one popular channel out here on YouTube? What it would do for his brand and his name? If someone just was to get the interview and talk to him, and he can just sit down and carry on the conversation and talk about what's on the horizon for his boxing career and all that. That's all I'm saying. It would be good for that to happen. But getting back to the numbers aspect of it, I see this matchup between Fury and Joshua. If it does happen, I see it bombing bad. You know what I'm saying? As far as the magnitude of how people are bloviating this fight, to the highest tier, that is going to do larger numbers than Mayweather Pacquiao. I don't see it. I don't see it. And I don't have my hands over my eyes either. You know what I'm saying? I'm not giving you the Pinkaboo style, but I don't see it coming even close to Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield too. I don't see it. PPV buys, I don't see it breaking 1.5. I do not even. That doesn't even cross my thought process that this fight will happen outside of the US and it will break this number 5. We're talking about number 5 now. Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield too. I don't even see it breaking 1.5. We ain't talking about 2.67. The fight is only big in the UK, not the US. I agree, man. It's a weird marriage. You know what I'm saying? Because both of these fighters are UK, countrymen, right? Both of them, Tyson Fury and Joshua, right? But even when Tyson Fury defeated Vladimir Klitschko, they didn't truly embrace Tyson Fury like they did Anthony Joshua. You know, so when Tyson Fury left the sport, Anthony Joshua preceded him. You know what I'm saying? He was able to now get the fight for all the titles that Tyson Fury. And Eddie Hearn went about it in an expeditious way to scoop up those titles the best way he can. All right. So therefore, Charles Martin received the paycheck, the stimulus. Charles Martin cashed out on the stimmy. Boom, went out in 2 rounds. Then, he stepped in there and selectively chose the right dance partner in Klitschko. The shit is so manufactured on paper. People don't want to even talk about it. They just want to say that Joshua went out here and picked up the titles. That's wrong. That's wrong for y'all to say because it's true. Even the commentators, do your homework. Rewind the reel, spin the reel of Charles Martin versus Andy Konoski. They speak of him taking a dial, so to speak, against Joshua. Yes, they do. They speak of it. So this is not something that I'm fabricating. I'm just telling you that they even speak on it. So a little bit. So Anthony Joshua goes out here and carefully selects a dance partner in Klitschko in an attempt to fill the Wembley Stadium to maximize the audience at Wembley Stadium, which they succeeded at doing. He had to have a big name. Joshua wasn't ready to have a big name from the U.S. or whatever. They just went about it, got together. They say, Vladimir, this is an easy check for you. Come back and do one more with Anthony Joshua. You know what I'm saying? It's not too much you have to worry about. He don't have any cardio. He has pretty decent power. Watch out for the right uppercut. I mean, Klitschko, he probably looked at his brother, Vitali. He'd say, you know what? I'm going over there, brother. I'm going over there to fight this guy. It's an easy paycheck. So once the bell rung, he found out that Joshua was pretty easy to beat. And the fight turned into an up and down affair where both fighters was able to administer knockdowns. But back to my point is the simple fact that he had been out the ring a year and a half, and people are basically only making a big deal about the ring rust when it comes to certain fighters. Klitschko never fought anybody else after Anthony Joshua. So this proves what I'm saying, that he wasn't there to win a championship. He was there as a dance partner that understands that they're trying to build this guy up, Anthony Joshua, and he's the next big deal in the heavyweight division. So when the referee stopped the fight in the 11th round, guess what? I mean, Klitschko was on his feet, man. He could have finished that shit. Just like Carlos Takam. Carlos Takam could have finished that fight with Anthony Joshua. But Anthony Joshua had a fight coming up with Alexander Povetkin. They had to put some type of intrigue to it. They couldn't allow Anthony Joshua to go 12 rounds with Carlos Takam. They couldn't do it. So therefore, there was a lot of premature stoppages over there. Look at the Joseph Parker fight with Anthony Joshua. The referee was intervening every time the fighters engaged one another. He was legitimately a third man in the ring. He didn't allow shit to happen. Brotherhood say Fury versus Joshua does no more than what Klitschko versus Joshua did. It's a good point. It's a good point. Because most of those buys, as low cost of a ticket it's going to be with the PPV, if it's in the 20s, $25 range, 30, whatever the case may be, it's going to majority be sourced on that side of the pond, for those individuals that's willing to pay for that. I mean, it's nothing to them. I mean, who can't come up with $25, $30, over there? They can do it. But over here in the US, not so much. I don't think it's going to happen. I think a lot of people going to, stream the crap out this. Real talk. People going to say, man, this is how it's going to go. It's a lot of people going to say, hey, Fury, his ring IQ is just too much for Joshua. But I'm going to find a way to watch the fight. I ain't paying for it, but I'll find a way to watch it. And then the Joshua fans, they're going to be like, if Joshua does this, this, and this, he can beat Fury. But people need to understand, if they follow Joshua enough, instead of just looking at his freaking, his portraits over there, with him modeling, being a UK model, he never really had respectable cardio to begin with. His power is you're talking about the heavyweight division. His power, if he's able to land on the right opponent, can affect anybody. You know what I'm saying? If he's able to land. But in Joseph Parker fight, he fired off that right uppercut 6 times and missed. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has okay power. He doesn't have one quitter hitter power like that. If the style presents itself to Joshua and you allow yourself to be within his punching range to touch you, he'll touch you. He'll land that shot. You know what I'm saying? Andy Ruiz found that out, made adjustments, and we seen what happened. And then in the rematch, what happened? Joshua kept his distance, played it extremely safe, and picked up his belts. He pretty much boxed. But then, once again, styles, right? Alexander Povetkin. Styles. Dillian White. Styles, man. Dominic Breazeale. Styles make fights with Anthony Joshua. But see, Tyson Fury is one of those guys that, in my opinion, he can acclimate to different styles, because he's awkward in itself. So, him going in against Anthony Joshua, for real, man, I'm going to tell you like this, it just seems so basic. Like, for Tyson Fury to go in there and fight Anthony Joshua, if it's not fixed, it should be a very interesting fight. I have Tyson Fury, defeating Anthony Joshua. I would say that his ring IQ holds a much higher value than Anthony Joshua. I believe that, the grimy part of Tyson Fury, the grimy aspect of how he is as a boxer, is levels above Anthony Joshua. I'm not here to, bash. I always said Anthony Joshua was overrated, just like I said Gennady Golovkin was overrated, and I said Vasyl Lomachenko was overrated. I never, subsided from that. And I say that Anthony Joshua was overrated. And he showed it in the Klitschko fight. He showed it in several other fights. But I picked Tyson Fury to get the job done. But ultimately, the fans itself is the ones that's going to be trying to scurry around and find cracks and crevices to watch this fight. People are not going to have fight parties like you think to watch this fight. Like, the individuals that have fight parties to watch Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, they was actually happy and excited that this fight was coming on, because they felt that Conor McGregor can potentially drop Floyd or knock him out. That's what they thought, because Conor McGregor was coming over to the boxing ring with this aura from stopping Jose Aldo and Eddie Alvarez, and also, winning this rematch with Nate Diaz. And before that, he was knocking dudes out. So they really thought Conor McGregor was going to go over here and knock out Floyd Mayweather. With this fight with the heavyweights, you really don't get the sense of who's going to knock out who. Even coming off the Wilder fight, you don't get that sense that something is going to happen that shuts down the whole fight. I see, Tyson Fury potentially breaking down Joshua, because Joshua, if his cardio is still the way it is, I'm not sure what way he's going to come in. Well, Tyson Fury fights a smart fight at distance and pressure Joshua and able to push him up against the ropes, and get off that 3-punch combination like you love, and just make it a very boring fight, so to speak. He'll win that fight easily. Then you look at Joshua. How many times is Joshua going to take the risk to get in close to somebody like Tyson Fury, big, boxer? Does Joshua know what to do? Joshua cannot box on the inside as effective as Tyson Fury. He can't. Joshua needs that space. He needs a little space. And Tyson Fury extracts that daylight in between them and get in close and make it a dirty fight on Joshua and tire him out. He can stop him. Bruce, what's good? What's good, Bruce? Salute to you. Klitschko versus AJ was a better fight than anything Wilder ever did. I love how you try to spin it, though. I'm not trying to spin anything. I'm just telling you where it is. Like, you look at it this way, Jay Blues. I always give, the value of each fighter on how their contribution to making that fight competitive is going to play out in the ring, right? So when you're talking about an antiquated, old, anachronistic, retired boxer that has 2 feet out of the ring into retirement, they had to go locate this guy. They had to drive all up in the snow and everything else. They say, hey, how you doing? We're just dropping by. And Klitschko's like, no, my friend, you're not just dropping by over here. What are you doing in this area? What's going on? Oh, we just come up to check in on you. We haven't heard too much from you. It's been a year and a half, hey. You want to fight? I mean, it wasn't a year and a half, of course, but I'm just saying they went and found Klitschko because that was a soft enough opponent and someone that they wouldn't consider as dangerous to come back to the ring. Now, was it exciting? The fight had its suspense. Why? Because both of those guys was willing to be aggressive enough to earn the early knockdowns. Like Joshua was obviously gassed by the 3rd round. And then you're looking at Klitschko. Both fighters was being caught with some shots that landed flush to make it exciting. It was Wembley Stadium. There's a little bit of acting going on. They wanted to make it exciting. Of course they did. But Jay Blues, I mean, like I tell all the Wilder haters, of course you're going to say it's better than any fight Wilder had when Wilder is shutting off the lights early. Sometimes Wilder left the dressing room and the showers were still on. He said, just keep the showers on. Don't worry about it. We'll be back in a little bit because we got time. We're going to head out after the fight. Some of those fights, he knew he was going to shut off the lights, man, and be back in the dressing room, shower up, get dressed, and head out. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it was. King Mitch in the building. What's good? Salute. Major Key Boxing. Salute to you. What up, WCS in the chat? What's good? AJ versus Fury does similar numbers to what Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson did recently. Maybe a bit lower, maybe a bit higher. Nothing astronomical to reach the top 5 PPV numbers at all. I'm on the same sheet of music with you on that, Mitch. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. I don't think it breaks 1.5. The reason being, you cannot remain evasive from the U.S. boxing market. You have to show us attention. You have to show us attention over here because each promotion, there's so many promoters over here in the U.S. The structure, the PPV structure is different. The price point is different over here in the U.S., which allows a fighter or fighters to be able to be a part of a successful PPV, knowing that if a certain amount of viewers purchase it, the numbers are going to start calculating pretty nice. You cannot say I'm going over to the sandbox or I'm keeping it in the UK, which doesn't generate those type of numbers as the footprint does over here in the US. You just can't exclude us like that. You have to include us. And also, you have to take the risk to come over here and have some fights so you can pretty much familiarize yourself with the boxing universe over here in the US. See, they get it confused. Just because you're fighting under the same colors, the red, white, and blue, doesn't mean that you're going to get that same type of energy than if you would, come over across the water and fight. AJ found that out. AJ was like a, I mean, I don't know what to say about this dude. Like, listen, you take some of the real ones, the Mike Tyson, the Hakeem Rothmans, the Lennox Lewises. You take the real ones like the Riddick Bows. You take the Michael Dokes. Even the Muhammad Ali wouldn't take that shit. The way Jarrell Miller was talking trash and disrespecting Anthony Joshua in NYC, those names that I just mentioned wouldn't have turned around to Eddie Hearns and say, take my belts. Those dudes would have cracked Jarrell Miller in the freaking head with those belts. They wouldn't have waited and turned and Eddie, take my belts, hold my belt. Eddie's not holding your belts. You his servant. He's not yours. He your boss. You're not his boss. So when Jarrell was talking about his mom and all this other shit, Anthony Joshua had that moment to say, you know what? I'm going to jump out of character and try to snatch this guy up and let him know, push him or something. Don't just be up there with the belts and be all generous and kind and tell my I'm going to keep it classy. Then you come off as being soft. And over here in the U.S., we spoil. We done seen so many fighters come over here to the U.S. come and go. So we have a particular appetite in what we've seen over the years. Most of the heavyweights at one point in time had to get down. That's outside the ring. Most of them, from Larry Holmes, I'm telling you, they had to get down. Y'all remember when Lennox Lewis and Hakeem Rothman moved furniture? You remember when Mike Tyson, all the interviews he had that was controversial? We used to it. What about Riddick Bowe when he gave Larry Donald the two-piece? Pop, pop, no gloves on, bare knuckles. He split his lip. Look, he split Larry Donald's lip on the inside, right? And Larry Donald still fought. Even with a split on the inside, the fight wasn't going to go nowhere. Like, he legitimately hit Larry Donald with a two-piece combo. And he still fought that fight with a cut lip on the inside. And I think he went the distance with Riddick Bowe. That's what I'm talking about. If you would have punched Joshua like that, if Riddick Bowe would have punched Joshua in his freaking mug like that, he would have went back over to the UK that same night. No, it's not something I choose to do anymore. I'm not going to come back over here in the US. It's just too much for me. They don't have no integrity, respect. You know, the bloody bloke punched me twice. I didn't never see it coming. There's no way I could have went in there and performed. No, Larry Donald and Riddick Bowe, they still fought that night, y'all. We have some legendary freaking promos over here. So for Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, let's just say, for instance, they was having this fight. Would it make sense for them to come over here to the US doing their press tour and just give a taste of try to build up more fans? Yeah. Will we get the same energy that we received from Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury to build this fight up? I don't think so, man, because we all know Anthony Joshua can't talk shit. And I truly believe if Tyson Fury would just dog Anthony Joshua, we'll see the same thing everywhere they go. Anthony Joshua just sit up there and smile and give one-liners. It's not going to be enough for a trash talker like Tyson Fury. It wouldn't be enough for a trash talker like Deontay Wilder. It wouldn't be enough for Jarrell Miller if he was over there again. It wouldn't be enough for Dillian White. It's just so many other, scenarios I can give you. But they was to come over here to the US and have a press tour. It would be one way traffic with trash talking coming from Tyson Fury to Anthony Joshua. Coach Chris, what's good? Man, ain't nobody watching that fight in the US at 5 p.m. on PPV. Man, talk to him, coach. Talk to him, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying this fight's gonna fail on all levels. It's the worst case scenario of the undisputed. It's the worst case scenario. And look, I'm just giving media. I'm not confirming. You know what I'm saying, coach? I'm not confirming the fight. I'm just speaking on. Look, this is something I usually didn't do, but I found out so many people love talking about stuff that's not going to happen or haven't happened. I said, okay, I'm gonna start talking about it. Nothing has really came out to validate that there's a schedule that you go on BoxRec and you see the S, it's scheduled, and it says, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. We don't see that yet. We're still waiting on the other situation to see what the conclusion is on that. But just like Coach said, this fight right here in the U.S. footprint in which they need us. They need us over. They need us to generate more revenue for this fight. Will they bring this fight over here on a press tour? And will they be able to convince us? Will Anthony Joshua jump out of character enough to say, you know what? Why not do something different? Why don't I be the bad guy? I don't think Anthony Joshua can be the bad guy with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury would just have to shut up, sit down there, and have a goofy look on his face. Because I truly don't think Anthony Joshua can talk that shit. Holmes would have drop kicked Big Baby. Well, you got to understand this, D-Ray. Holmes was goddamn jumping off the back of a vehicle too. Come on, D-Ray. Larry Holmes, he didn't want to goddamn, he couldn't have got that high from the ground level. He had to run over the top of a car, man, and jump off the trunk. This drop kick a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Left my ass off, bro. Stop it. Wilder, trash talker. Dude can barely make it through a sentence. I mean, that's not gonna garner a response from me, Jay Blues. Look, I pretty much understand like the common names that's on here that aren't Wilder fans. I get it. You can support who you want to, just like I support who I want to. So you speaking about how a man articulates himself, that means you spend a little bit too much time on what a grown man is doing outside of the sport of boxing. But I will say this, there, Jay Blue, assuming that English is your first language, English is one of the most destructive, fragmented, broken languages we know. So if you somehow don't like how he talks, when you see him, all you have to do is go up and tell him or express your concerns about the way he speaks. That's something I can tell you, Jay Blue. Because English is one of the most fragmented, broken languages you can speak in life. There's so many. If you talk to a person out the country, you'll probably be saying the same thing. What are you talking about? But see, I'm from the South. I've heard it. You come down here to the city, you hear different type of, rhythm to English. And then you go up north, it's a difference. So really, I think you're just being petty and you just want to have some laughs today. I get it. It's Monday. You bored. But appreciate you pulling up as always, Jay Blue. Coach say, World Combat, AJ a sucker. My man sitting and waiting for Fury like a sucker. Hearn has no fights for him. Too funny. Ruin his career. You know what, Coach? I can't disagree with you on any of what you said. I try to refrain from calling a cat sucker. But when it comes to Joshua, Man, I said this. Look, I don't know how many Facebook groups I was kicked out of, but I was like, man, Joshua, you know what? I try to refrain from using bum. You know what I'm saying? I try to use, but I have said Joshua's a soft touch. He's overrated. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are behind Joshua for the wrong reasons. See, a lot of dudes are trying to live vicariously through their Anthony Joshua poster that they have in their own bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Their motivation to get up and pick up a dumbbell is looking at an Anthony Joshua poster. You know what I'm saying? You got dudes that just support Anthony because he's a model over there. Not a model citizen, but a freaking model that they say, oh man, okay, what type of underwear he got on? I'm gonna purchase some of them. What can I find them on Amazon? You know, these most really love Anthony Joshua. They want to be in his circle. They just want him to carry on the conversation and say their name, you know, just to hear his little soft voice, mention their name. It's a lot of dudes want to live vicariously and go out to the club with Anthony Joshua, for real. That's why they come so hard at World Combat Sports, you know, because I've never been a Joshua fan, period. Never. Never. I just couldn't understand everything that was behind this dude. Like, I did my, I spun the reel so many times on his gold medal round in the London Olympics, right? And he lost. He clearly lost the fight. They gave him the gold medal round. They gave it to him. He clearly lost from a guy who's been there before. He clearly lost. Anybody wants to debate that, feel free. Anthony Joshua has been a manufactured champion ever since the Olympics. He's been the paper champ that you all been waiting on. And that's truth. Seriously. Brotherhood, you already showed your true colors. Sad, bitter little dude. Hearn straight set up Amir Khan and Kell Brook. Got AJ beat up by a fat Andy Ruiz on short notice. But he's this great promoter, though. Man, I remember, you know, when Eddie Hearns was saying he was going to come over here to the U.S. and, you know, take over boxing. And people was actually believing that, coach. Seriously, they was believing that shit. Like, they were saying, oh, man, Eddie Hearns is on his way over here to the U.S. You know, Bob Arum, Al Heyman. Look, they was mentioning Al Heyman like he was actually that guy. It was like he's going to take over. He's going to be the next Al Heyman, Bob Arum. He's gonna freaking run Golden Boy out of business. I'm like, it's no way that's not. It's no way that's gonna happen. And you haven't heard anything. Look, the type of energy that they gave Eddie Hearn when he initially came out with those exaggerated numbers, when he first took to the airways to talk about that $1 billion DAZN deal. You haven't heard anything else about that except the zone is struggling. As much as I was trying to tell people, I say it's not $1 billion, it's contingent. It's contingency. And that contingency has been dragging for quite some time. You know what I'm saying? It's tough for them to match coming out saying it's a $1 billion deal, but then you don't even have a PPV structure. You're struggling to get top tier names over there from the U.S. The Charlo brothers, much respect to them, but you know they even turned you down. You was trying to get AB to go over there, which probably would have been a good deal for Adrian Broner, but he said it was a slave deal. There's plenty of fighters that went over there temporarily and bounced. You wasn't able to get any big names in the U.S. and definitely we didn't think that Deontay Wilder was going to sign a multi-fight deal for 120 without reading the contract, did we? Come on. What if Anthony Joshua would have lost? What would Deontay Wilder be doing? He would be binded by a contract, and he would be in the same position as Anthony Joshua, doing nothing. So sometimes you bet on yourself right out the gate, and that's how you have your success. You don't sit up here and listen to all these temporary boxing fans who said, they the ones that don't support Deontay Wilder, but yet they quick to tell him to sign the contract. Sign the contract. Put them shackles on your ankle. Go ahead. They would have loved for Deontay Wilder to be locked down on the Eddie Hearn's contract. They would have loved it. But see, what you need to do is read in between. Read the line for line and see and interpret the whole entire contract. It wasn't beneficial for him to go over there and do that. Anyway, I agree, man. Coach, he's a sucker. Straight up sucker. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Joshua may be a good person to some people, but this ain't about being a good person. This is how he is as a boxer. I remember when he was up here talking about restraining orders and he didn't want Deontay Wilder nowhere in the building and all this other shit. That's some sucker shit right there. You know what I'm saying? Really, if you really wanted to get off topic, that's some fuckboy type shit. J8, what's good? Listen in. I'm going to be in and out. Just doing some work. Hey, man, handle your business, man. Always appreciate your time, though. Stuff. I appreciate you pulling up, though. Yeah, for sure, J Blue. Handle your business, man. Enjoy your day. Brotherhood say you better run. You know what I'm saying? They're talking that shit. You talk your shit, and then 5 minutes later, you out. In ASICs. Brotherhood look at you. Damn, man. Why y'all low Brotherhood? Damn. Well, that ain't my business, though. But hold on for a second, y'all. Hold on for a minute. I'm back. So let me ask y'all this. Who would y'all want to see? Besides Wilder and Fury trilogy, who would y'all want to see this year to kind of pretty much get some clarity on who the best heavyweight champion? Because look at it this way. There's no way I'm going to say Wilder off one loss is done in the sport. And it's not for me to give excuses as to why other people are vilifying him with one loss. You know what I'm saying? So when Tyson Fury takes his one loss, I just want to hear what the aftermath is going to be. Because when Joshua took his one loss, I hear people up here talking that he stepped back in the ring several months later and regained his titles. Okay. So you provided him the opportunity to step back in there and prove that he can get his titles back, right? That's after being stopped. Anthony Joshua stopped. His fight was stopped just like the Deontay Wilder fight was stopped, except Deontay Wilder's corner threw in the towel. What we already know, right? So therefore, what I'm saying is, why all the support and push? The two palms to the back. You can do it. You can do it, Joshua. Keep your head up, big guy. You'll be back. Why not all that support? Anthony Joshua loses once, and it's just extremely amount of serenade to get him back in there. Then Deontay Wilder loses with 42 victories. People saying he's done with the sport. I find that extremely biased and prejudiced. I do. I find it that certain people may have took that stance because of their disdain for Deontay Wilder. I get it. But at this point right here in 2021, what better fight would you want to see? I'm going to tell you, I think Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, especially back in 2018, would have broken into the top 5 PPVs all time. Because people was believing in Anthony Joshua, that he had that power and that he was that guy. He came in looking the part, and a lot of people thought he could knock out Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? They thought he was the better boxer. And at that point, Deontay Wilder, being the hardest hit in the game, he had the WBC belt. So it would have been great for them to fight over here. And I think those numbers alone from that fight at that time would have broken in the top 5 PPV top sales of all time in boxing. But now, if somehow, some way, Deontay was able to step back in there with Tyson Fury and get his belt back, then guess what? I still believe that a fight between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua would do solid numbers. More than I believe Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Because it's somewhat of a connection that's going on here. Tyson Fury is a UK fighter that sprinkles of the US, or I would say pocket Deontay Wilder. Deontay goes in here, and if they're able to fight in the trilogy, he gets his belt back, and then somehow, some way, in a perfect window of opportunity, and Eddie Hearn's checking off the box for that danger close moment, he signs the contract, if he still has all his belts, to face Deontay Wilder. I truly believe that fight would do grand numbers. And I think that would be a moment where Anthony Joshua returns back to the U.S. footprint to fight. I think that's the moment that Anthony Joshua would understand that this is his last hoorah, and him coming back over here to the U.S., this knockout is going to be clear, concise, and out the door. Seriously, that's what I think. I'm not being biased. I'm just telling you what I think will happen. We need to see these heavyweights, the top 3 names, fight each other, because I don't think Anthony Joshua will ever get the respect. Even though he's fought majority of his time over in the UK, I don't think he'd get that respect for not fighting Deontay Wilder in his career. They're gonna always say Anthony Joshua tiptoed his way through boxing and fought, these names. But they'll be quick to say and criticize the resume of Deontay Wilder, but not do it for Anthony Joshua. They look at Joseph Parker as being a good guy, but this doesn't have anything to do with being a good guy. Joseph Parker fought to survive, not to retain his WBO title. He fought to survive, y'all. And that's what he did. He survived. But we need for these 3 names to fight each other. We need a trilogy, and then we need to go over there and get Joshua. But deep down in my heart of hearts, I don't think Joshua has the courage or intestinal fortitude to step up to the plate, because that's a lot of years in between. That's a lot of negative energy, man, when it comes to boxing. For Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua step in the ring. And that fight will be over here in the U.S. I know Eddie Hearns has to understand where he's at. I know deep down, when he's there sipping on his freaking wine and shit, I know he would like to have or be a primary role player, shaker and mover over here in the U.S. As big as the OGs is over here in the boxing promotions. I get it. If he was willing to take that risk and have these big fights over here in the U.S., then he would generate more revenue. But, he has people over there he has to appease too. Anthony Joshua, he's not the Lennox Lewis. Even though Lennox had dual citizenship, he's not the Lennox Lewis. Let's be honest. He's not. He doesn't have that go button. He doesn't have that go button for real. Lennox Lewis was knocked out much worse. Joshua at least was on his feet. Lennox Lewis was knocked out and came back and took the titles from Hasim Rahman. You know what I'm saying? So does Joshua have that returning power, that recovery power? Because he was hurt, but yet he was on his feet, and the fight was called off because he wanted to quit. But at the end of the day, the heavyweight division is what runs boxing. It's not running boxing the way it should now, unless it's through controversy. But I mean, come on, man. Like, just off, let's say, for instance, I bring up Dillian White and Alexander Povetkin. People tuned in for that fight. That just goes to show you the heavyweight division can bring some damn light to the sport. People tuned in and watched that Alexander Povetkin Dillian White fight. But then you have to, sustain that. Then you have fights like Otto Wallin and Dominic Brazil. That shit was terrible. I just want to put the Excel spreadsheet out there again and help y'all clearly digest that the heavyweight division is not full of killers 1 through 15. It's not. So therefore, since we have that understanding that the heavyweight division, stop saying that these fighters outside of your favorite never fought anybody. The heavyweight division does not have an entire depth to host a lineup of killers. At one point in time, they was bringing up Daniel Dubois, but he was just basically stopped with a jab from an older guy in Joe Joyce who's pretty slow, but accurate off one punch, and he couldn't even move his head. How do you think this Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight is going to be, y'all? It can pretty much turn out the same way Tyson Fury stepped in there against Vladimir Klitschko. He can make it extremely a pace-setting fight at his terms whenever he chooses to. And that is going to be extremely boring to the fight fans. What's going on, Dion? How you feeling, bro? He said, WCS, I had Jay Blue stuttering in the debate about Wilder, and he mad. That's all. Okay, I figured it had to be something about Wilder. I know the Wilder, the true, legitimate, bona fide, contingent haters. I know who they are. Wilder versus Ruiz is the best versus the best. Fury and Wilder is a sideshow. I would say this, that if Wilder is, which he has mentioned Andy Ruiz as a future opponent, I will watch that fight. But I have my grievances about Andy Ruiz too. You know what I'm saying? Look at it this way, brotherhood. This dude being the first Mexican fighter, okay? And no, John Ruiz was not the first Mexican fighter, right? He wasn't Mexican. So therefore, I look at him on the way he won the titles, but yet he squandered all that shit and came in deconditioned. I just lost his respect. But people don't even talk about that. That just goes to show you the prejudice in the sport. Because Andy Ruiz could not successfully defend his titles. I'm talking about giving a valiant effort to step back in there against Anthony Joshua and be in shape and defend his titles correctly. He was representing his country. And he came here out of shape. Talking about the money got to him. He was out here just eating ho-ho and ding-dongs. You know, motherfucking drinking bottles of wine, buying Rolls Royces and shit. I can't respect that, and other people can't respect it either. But when it comes down to, you know, Andy Ruiz posting photos that he's getting back in shape, man, boxing fans are so quick to get these fighters, these certain fighters, man, that pass. Like, they'll fuck up. Seriously, they'll seriously fuck up, right? And have a poor performance. But people get up here and serenade the shit out of them and motivate them to come back to the ring. Andy Ruiz went in that fight with already a loss with Joseph Parker. And people who always say, well, I thought he won that fight. It was a competitive fight. It was a good fight. The fact that he was able to upset Anthony Joshua and then squander that moment in the rematch, I'm wondering how dedicated he truly is right now. And if Wilder go in there and face Andy Ruiz and he stops him, what is going to be the narrative to attach to it? You know, Andy Ruiz, he had problems with that paychecks that he received from Joshua, and he wasn't truly focused. You know, he released his coach Manny Robles, and you know, that got him to the top. Instead of him stepping up as a man and telling Manny Robles it was over, he sent his pops over there. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna come up with all these attachments. Seriously, that's the way I think. But like I said, when I support a fighter heavy, I don't want him going in there fighting the softest touches. I would like to see that fight between Wilder and Ruiz, just like I wanted to see Luis Ortiz. I want to see him fight the big names out here that people, quote unquote, feel they're the big names. The biggest name out there still is the man who defended his title for over five years and 10 successful times. Because out of the sport, people still talk about him. It would be great to get that trilogy off the rip, and then at the end of the year, get another huge fight, you know, with a top name. I would like to say Anthony Joshua, but that seems like it's impossible, because I truly believe Deontay Wilder can get his WBC title back and then go on to fight somebody else. But check this out. If he isn't able, I definitely want to see him come back to the ring and fight one of these other names. I want to see him knock out Dillian White. Easy, because that's just going to be like, come on, that's going to be another one of those fights where Dillian White goes in there and leave everything on the line. And when he gets knocked out, he said, well, I gave it my all. He hits harder than I thought he did, but we'll go back to the drawing board. It's no drawing board, Dillian. It's no drawing board. It's no drawing board for you. That's who you are. That's who you are. It's no drawing board. But is it going to change this fight if Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua come over here and attempt to do a press tour? I don't think so. The only way they can generate more attention is if they allow the U.S. press, not specific press, ESPN and the main platforms. If they allow the YouTube press, the YTC, the credential requesting, the ones who deploy out to the field, if they allow us to enter that press tour without placing all these damn restrictions on there, Eddie Hearns and Anthony Joshua, if they allow us in there to ask the questions, yes, I think it'll generate that a little bit more attention, just a smidgen of attention for this fight. Seriously, if you're going to allow them to come over here and specifically have a moderate number of media personnel carefully selected to ask all the upbeat questions, then it's not going to happen. It's going to be the same shit than when Joshua came over here the first time. You know, Tyson Fury has been through the ringer. I'm saying he's did 2 press tours. Well, one big press tour with Deontay Wilder, their first fight, and then it was pretty much, you know, just the lead up to the fight in the rematch. But they need us. They need us on deck, man. They need the tough questions to be asked. You know what I'm saying? I just have maybe about 3 good questions to ask Joshua. That's all. 3 good questions to ask Tyson Fury. But I know how people gonna know how it's gonna go. The threats are gonna be out there. Listen, when we have the fighters come in here, we don't want no questions about Glovegate. We don't want any questions about him possibly cheating at the MGM. If you do, you'll never get another credential under this promotion. Man, I heard this. I'm telling you. They will issue the threats, the pre-warnings, y'all. Usyk versus B. Wilder versus Ruiz is the best first time. Usyk versus Baum. I don't even think Usyk wants that work. In my opinion, Usyk is not ready for that. Even though boxing wise, like every fighter, they're gonna go in there and say, "Hey, you know, Lomachenko's gonna hit his boy up." He said, "Listen, my friend, you go in there and box Deontay Wilder, you win easily, my friend. Okay, he cannot box." I mean, if everybody has that mentality, once again, they should be able to go in there and get the job done. It's just not that easy. Fury's trying to do something Ruiz already did, which is KO Joshua. Yeah, man, that's basically what he's trying to do. And you know, Joshua has very suspect cardio. People understand that. So you know, I really don't. I'm just speaking on both fighters, but I don't support neither one of them, really, to be honest. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. Real talk. No testing for Povetkin versus White too. Look, when it comes to them having fights over there, that Dion, I mean, they always have that therapeutic exemption type waiver. You know, that's why you have a lot of fighters that's popping dirty over there and all this other shit, because they find ways to mask shit and they're dirty, but they always have this exemption that's over there. You know, they need to do away with that shit, because fighters are coming into the ring with an advantage of a PED use. Bro, AJ and Fury ain't happening. Yeah, man. But you know, coach, I just gotta talk about it sometime. You know what I'm saying? I told y'all in the beginning, I usually don't talk about stuff that's not official, but I just see other people talking about stuff that's not official. And I just say, okay, let me go ahead and talk about something and just kind of get the fans intake, because in this particular topic, especially dealing with the heavyweights, people always want to come with the same shit. Most of them want to boost up Fury Joshua. You know what I'm saying? They want to boost it up because in their mind, they're saying to themselves, they want this fight to happen. But in reality, they're not going to be willing to pay for it. If this fight come out here in the US for PPV, and this shit is sitting around $75, something like that, because they're going to try to jack the price up. Let's say 65 to 75. You think they're going to pay 65 to 75 after what they experienced with Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua in the sandbox? They're not going to do it, people. I know people sometimes believe that the U.S. boxing fans are non-existent. They just show up to the fight and dress up because it's a gentleman's sport, take their lady out, and they want to see the popular names show up, right? But when you take a look back at Anthony Joshua fighting Andy Ruiz in the rematch, how much of a farce it was. We're spoiled over here. We're not going to fall for that shit for Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. They're going to be like, Nah, I really think Tyson Fury is gonna beat Anthony Joshua. Where's the intrigue? The intrigue is only coming from what Eddie Hearns or IFL TV or anybody else want to put out to the media. Joshua, the temporaries, Joshua temporary fans that's out there, that's enamored with him for the wrong reasons. And then you have the Tyson Fury fans who in their heart of hearts, they talk against him, behind closed doors. But they want to get inside the arena, and they're not going to know who to cheer for. They don't like Tyson Fury, and they think Anthony Joshua will get his ass whooped. So they're pretty confused. They don't know who the fuck to cheer for. Do you cheer for the person who's been in there with the bronze bomber and embroiled in controversy, or do you cheer for the guy who's decided to remain behind the shielded confines of the UK boxing world? And there's a lot of questions to be answered rather, with Anthony Joshua, because he's only been to the US once and he failed miserably. I put this scenario up there before. It's highly possible Anthony Joshua loses his belts again. And it's highly possible he wins them back. They just need the right opponent for him to win these titles back, so he can become 3-time unified champion. That's what they're going to go off of to put Anthony Joshua in the history books. Seriously. They're going to have the right dance partner for him to win his titles back potentially and become 3-time unified. If he has all the titles. If not, and he comes off one of them, 2 of them, whatever. They're gonna do their best before Anthony Joshua gets too old for him to become a 3-time heavyweight champion. They're gonna try their best, like they've been doing, to put him in the same sins as Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're gonna try to do. But they're gonna make sure that it is carefully processed and planned, and the execution goes off flawlessly. But they have to make it look transparent to the fight fans. That's all. Seriously. Fury and Ruiz both haven't defended their titles, though. And you're absolutely right. But see, when you say, when you identify something like that, I'm asking myself, why don't other people identify? Why is it brushed off like that? When it comes to Fury, he never defended his unified titles before he left the sport. He hasn't defended this title, obviously, because, he's in litigation process, But yet, people look at it like, okay. And then Andy Ruiz come back in here. He wins the title, and his tarnish, his legacy is tarnished because he just basically went on a spending spree and lost focus on what could have basically cemented his legacy. If he would have went in here and defended those unified titles against Anthony Joshua, it would have basically led him to an even bigger fight. But he didn't go in that fight to keep the titles. They already told him, hey, we need to get those titles back. The fight's going to be in Saudi Arabia. I'm just letting you know that. Make it interesting. Come in here looking like a tub of lard. And Anthony Joshua is going to box you. He's not going to punish you that much. You can box. You know how to defend yourself. And he's going to win unanimous decision. You're going to go about your business. And then you're going to post pictures like you really dedicated now. You're refocused. And you all, you're losing weight. That's the same shit they did leading up to the rematch. Somebody posted pictures of Andy Ruiz getting in shape. And he came there overweight. Deconditions as a heavyweight fighter. So you got Tyson Fury never defended a single title. Andy Ruiz never defended a single title. Anthony Joshua is who he is. But still deep down inside, I know there's people who want him to fight Deontay Wilder before his career is over with. If he doesn't, they will always ask him, why did you not? And he'll probably say, we never could make it happen. It was plenty of times that we offered him the $120 million contract, but he never took the offer. That's what they're gonna say. That's gonna be the default answer. We offer him a contract. You remember? And by that time, Eddie Hearns is going to be out the picture. And Anthony Joshua going to say, somebody call Eddie and see if he can send that text of that contract. I don't have it anymore. It's been so long. Call Eddie up so he can send that text over here for that contract. Nobody's even talking about that bullshit ass contract y'all sent. But we have to look at the reality of it, y'all. 2021, the heavyweight division runs boxing. And we have to totally understand that the numbers are not going to add up. They're not going to add up, y'all. I don't care how many times, Eddie Hearns get up here and talking about Anthony Joshua's $100 million fighter. When Forbes said his net worth is $47 million. You know what I'm saying? Stop believing everything this man says because he's a habitual liar when it comes down to it. He's a salesman. All right. Eddie Hearns to some people may be a very good guy, but he's a salesman. He's a promoter. He has to go out here and sell the value of his fighters to the public. And that's what he does. That's what he does, y'all. To all of a sudden say that Anthony Joshua, who really hasn't fought, like you're saying the man, his ticket to fight is $100 million now. So when did the increase happen? When did that pay increase happen? What fight? I'm just curious, what fight did it happen? Was it Kubrat Pulev? Seriously. Or was it Kubrat Pulev? Was Pulev the fighter who took you over the top to make you $100 million fighter? Was it Kubrat? Because I'm asking myself, how in the hell is that possible? Since we know it's bullshit, I'm just going to move on. So if they're able to go over to Saudi Arabia and source these individuals, man, somebody owes a debt. These guys are not going to put up a site fee like that when they have two fighters. This fight is not going to generate that revenue like they're saying. These numbers are off. People might talk shit and say they want Deontay retired, but really they want to see him back in there for the trilogy, because really for the true, I'm talking about the ones that have that deep saturated vitriol. I'm talking about the shit that has set in to the core, just like gangrene. Those individuals wants to see Deontay Wilder step back in there with Tyson Fury. Why? Because they believe that if Tyson Fury is able to go in there and defeat Deontay Wilder once again, they can pretty much shut down the media that's on the YouTube, because Deontay Wilder is a big name out the sport. They think that it would absolutely quiet media outlets like myself that talk about the champ, the encompassing LDBC. They believe it would quiet these voices. Seriously. That's what they want. It's set in like it's become parasitic, y'all. These individuals, they truly want to see Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury back in the square. They want to, because there's some unanswered questions that they have about that fight. They may deny all the controversy with the cheating just because they want to just get on the wave of naysayers is out here saying there was no cheating, right? But deep down inside, they say, man, guess what? I really want to see, can he beat Deontay Wilder twice? Because that hasn't happened. Tyson Fury is still undefeated, but Deontay Wilder has one loss to what many people consider a top tier heavyweight in Tyson Fury. So therefore, as hardcore boxing fans, why wouldn't we want to see them return to the ring for a trilogy? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of these individuals that are saying that Deontay Wilder need to retire, they truly don't have confidence that Tyson Fury can go in the ring and defeat Deontay Wilder again. They don't. They just hate Deontay Wilder so much that they just want to voice, you know what I'm saying, their dislike. They want to voice their non-support to try to deter the fight from even happening. It's not like they really fuck with Tyson Fury. They just don't fuck with Deontay Wilder like that. It's not that they fuck with Tyson Fury heavy. They just don't fuck with Deontay Wilder. Believe me when I tell you that. But I think a lot of these cats that are saying the same thing over and over again, deep down inside, they don't even believe it. They don't believe it. Look, this is how powerful a voice could be when you know certain individuals continue to mention names, the same names over and over again, right? And their message, when they're on these other platforms, their messages are going out to the individuals that support, you know, a fighter like Deontay Wilder. See, they're not quick to support Tyson Fury unless he's fighting Deontay Wilder. But now that they want to, you know, big up this Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fantasy match, now they continue to talk to the media guy. Like, we're talking about some people who were supporting Deontay, but now all you hear is individuals want to go back to Anthony Joshua, because a lot of people had jumped ship with Anthony Joshua and they call themselves, you know, supporting Deontay Wilder. But now you have two Brits in a fantasy fight, which everybody is hoping and wishing happen, right? And like and like that itis, you know what I'm saying, like parasites love to do, they'll leech on the entire time to talk about this shit over and over again, have panels on, have individuals on the panel. Some may all disagree and some may be mixed or whatever. They have these individuals on there, and someone will actually, you know, speak up and say, I really want to see a trilogy. I'm not really trying to see Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, because that's like one-way traffic. I do look at that. I don't look at that fight as a 50-50 fight. But when you add Deontay Wilder to the mix, even stepping back in there with Tyson Fury, people are going to be very hesitant for Tyson Fury to return to the ring and call it a 50-50 fight. Because they always speak about power being the last thing to go, but they want to exclude that from the repertoire of Deontay Wilder, who's arguably the heaviest hitter in the game. So they exclude that out. Oh, his power has left. He couldn't do anything. Tyson Fury had. Listen, it's boxing for a reason, y'all. It's boxing for a reason. So therefore, if Sugar Hill, Crunk style, his freaking modification to Tyson Fury's skill set was so impressive, he should be able to reciprocate that, right? So let's not beat around the motherfucking bush. Let's set the motherfucker on fire, bring them back to the square. And if Sugar Hill wants his stock to go up, he should be able to come up here with a solid game plan to defeat Deontay Wilder in the third fight. If that so-called style he has the value that everybody's saying it does, and it's magical, bring him back in the square and let's see it again. If not, let's just keep talking about this Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury shit. They got 20 days to announce a venue or the fight is off. I know. Hey, J8, I'm counting too, bro. I'm counting too. 20 days. Watch the bullshit start to filter out there, Jay. He said they got 20 days to announce a venue or the fight is out. Watch. It's something. Look, it's something behind the scenes that is brewing. We're gonna hear sooner or later. It's something brewing behind the scenes. We're gonna hear sooner or later. Sir King, World Combat Sports, salute to the wrenches, and salute to the chat. Smash the like button. Appreciate you there, Sir King. Appreciate you. Y'all have to understand. It's a lot of people just boosting this fight up because of the names. A big part of the U.S. boxing fan base. I'm not saying they're confused, even though I've said that in the past. I think they're somewhat just impatient, disloyal. When it comes down to it, because why would you not look at the way the Barclays was when Deontay Wilder stepped in there with Dominique Brazil, on how the people was cheering when he was in there against Luis Ortiz. I mean, the people was cheering like a mother, like when he was in there versus Bermain Stavern. People was cheering, man. They was on their feet. Those people haven't went anywhere. It's just his opponent was the same shade he was. That's why you have Deontay Wilder fans out here in the U.S. And you have individuals that want to see the trilogy, but those individuals are not heavy on YouTube like that. They are in certain communities. I'll take that back. I stand corrected. But more so to a point where I think I hear certain channels speaking on this topic repeatedly to generate that doubt that the U.S. fans are not supporting Deontay Wilder. But then again, now that the Tyson Fury topic is out, now they have two Brits where they want to jump on the Anthony Joshua bandwagon, and I truly hope that the individuals, especially Deontay Wilder, is listening. I really hope the true hardcore fans are listening to these individuals who are jumping ship. And now, they don't want to support Tyson Fury so much because of all the shit that they was defending him from doing. But now they want to support Anthony Joshua because they get a warm and fuzzy and shit. You know what I'm saying? They get a warm and fuzzy with supporting who they consider a good guy. That's what they think about Anthony Joshua. He's a good guy. We want to see him become undisputed. He deserves it, y'all. He deserves it. He really does. He's a good guy. That's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing individuals that will love to be the height and have the aesthetic appearance of Anthony Joshua. It's not the fact that they have really solid points about his boxing skills. It's just they would rather go to the local pub and hang out with Anthony Joshua. Really, they would like to have Anthony Joshua in a private chat setting with other people so they can just chat it up and know that they can listen to his voice and screen record. I'm being honest, man. You got people, you got dudes out here with voice recordings of Anthony Joshua. They just want to hear the dude talk. I kept it 100. I kept it higher than 100, really, since day one. I pretty much told you what I thought about Anthony Joshua. Told you what I thought about Tyson Fury, man. But we need a big fight this year. And like JA said, we have 20 days remaining. The countdown continues before we start hearing some bullshit. And we have to wait till that bullshit happens. Alabama, I think his name is Alabama Boxing News. So, for one, this is the first time I'm seeing you on here, for whoever you are. He said, man, I'm seriously starting to think you're a hater and a fangirl. send the link. That doesn't even make sense as to what the topic. So be clear, elaborate on what you're talking about. A hater and a fangirl. Another cliche terminology used by somebody who I have no idea who you are. So first of all, what is a fangirl? What boxer are you talking about? What is the attachment to the topic of discussion? So just clear that up a little bit, and then I drop the link. I have no problem with that. I have no problem. So who are we talking about? Because you're saying you're Alabama boxing news. So who am I hating on, and who am I? You're saying a fangirl, and then I drop the link. I have no problem with dropping a link, but don't just put the comment down there. You said that last time. Let's hurry up. We can't keep the people waiting. Go ahead, drop. Elaborate just a little bit more so I can understand. Um, what are we about to debate? You know what I'm talking about? What am I debating? A hater of who? You can't say I'm a hater of Fury and Joshua. So a hater of who? And then a fangirl of whom? Because I really don't know. You have to elaborate. So don't drop. I give you a full 60 seconds before I move on. Because I'm not just bringing you on the platform just to yell and scream, and I really don't know what you're talking about. I must have upset one of Anthony Joshua's confidants. Are you an Anthony Joshua confidant? Just hurry up, man. You're keeping the people waiting. Hurry up. I want to know what you're saying. No? So so put it like this. So put it like this, right? You wasn't serious to begin with, or else you would have pretty much cleared it up as to what you was talking about. Now that I provided you more attention than you actually deserve, you haven't really responded to what you're talking about. So anyway, let me move on. If you come back into the equation, I mean, come back into the live chat. I have no problem dropping the link. I have no problem. I just need to know what we're talking about. That doesn't tell me anything. And plus, you can't seriously start to do anything because you're not a regular WCS audience member or supporter. You're not. I haven't seen Alabama boxing news over here, so that's not something that I see on a regularity. So you have to be clear. What am I hating on? Back to the topic at hand. 2021, man. The back end of the year, from what I know behind the scenes and talking to certain individuals at these promotions, it's going to be a heavy, heavy end of the year, just like it was in 2020. It's going to be heavier though. They man, I really wish I could speak more in depth of it, but on the back end of this year, it's some big time fights going on. That's one thing I can tell you. We're going to be entertained all the way up to the holidays. We're going to be entertained with some damn solid fights. It's just boxing as a whole is going to be struggling until we get to mid to later 2021. Also, you're going to start seeing more regions that's pending opening the doors up to a larger capacity. They just want to test the waters a little bit, but you're going to have more and more that's basically emulating Texas. You know what I'm saying? I dropped that link. I'll drop that link. I guess you changed your name. So I'm looking over across the way. So Well, let me get rid of that. That's not true. That's not true. Whoever you are. So I did my part. The link is in the chat, bro. So Alabama boxing. I guess he went back and changed his name to whoever, and up here talking something different. But appreciate you tuning in though. You know what I'm saying? But you continue to switch your name and do that homework for me. Put that work in. I dropped the link. I did my part. But look, you come on here, you need to show your face, homie. You need to show your face so I can get a picture of who I'm talking to. All right. But anyway, back to the boxing cards, man. 2021, just like the end on the backside of 2020, it's going to be some heavy fight cards out here. So stay tuned. You know, it's a lot to look forward to. That's all. It's a lot to look forward to. You know, the last five fights. What last five fights? You can tell I'm speaking to someone that's deficient in competence, because why would you put the last five fights? Who cares about predictions? If it was true, right? Who cares about prediction? Who cares about all this other stuff you're doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, the link is out here. Like, why are you worrying about a individual with fight predictions? Who cares about fight predictions? And we're in a pandemic. So the last five fights are who? Because for one, I was with Lomachenko. I mean, not Lomachenko, with Teofimo Lopez. So I was right on that and won good money off Lomachenko fight, him being defeated by Teofimo Lopez. I went for Oscar Valdez against Miguel Burchelt. Those are really the only two big fights I went off of. I even said on my live that I thought that Virgil Ortiz was going to stop Maurice Hooker in 6 rounds. I did. I said it on somebody else's panel, and I said it on mine. That's a third big fight. Um, I'm just trying to find out which one that I was wrong. I never betted against Canelo Alvarez moving up or down, so that's not it. The only fight that I came up short was Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury rematch. If that's another Wilder hater, so I'm not sure the last five fights that I'm actually concerned with. Like, I didn't think Gamboa would beat Devin. I'm just going through the list. You know what I'm saying? Because I bet it on T.O., Nakatani, Richard Comey, and Lomachenko. So scratch that off. I'm just trying to find out the interest part of it. Like, what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? What fights are you talking about that I was wrong my last five fights? I know it's haters out here, but listen, for the individuals that keep switching titles, all you have to do is just click on the link, bro. The link is right there. That's all. As long as you have an understanding, this is my platform, and that's the way it's gonna roll out. You know, there goes the link. Appreciate the wrenches. When people say schooled, okay, once again, first of all, schooled. I'm not on other people's platforms like that. Every now and then, I may jump on a Deontay Wilder conversation, and just because a lot of people are talking about the other fighter outside Deontay Wilder doesn't mean you're being schooled on anything. So that's a lie. When am I on other people's platform debating? I don't do that. I don't do the free spoke shit. That's pointless energy I'm wasting for hours at a time. I don't do it. So basically, the link is in the chat, and all you have to do is just pay it attention. Just pay the toll. Cross the bridge and pay the toll. You know, that's all I'm saying. Shout out to the wrenches. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the wrenches. And then whoever you are, you seem like you upset, but the hate. well, well, let me mention something they said. They say Wilder couldn't sell out a phone booth. You're right, because at 6'7", he can't fit in a phone booth. First of all, and for him to sell out a phone booth, who would he be fighting? You know what I'm saying? Who would be his opponent? Will it be a virtual fight? Because at 6'7", he's not fighting in the phone booth. And furthermore, you rarely see phone booths even around on a line in the street or anything. I mean, we have advanced in technology. We far past that. You know, we into the innovation stages of technology. So you rarely see phone booths anyway. And that just goes to show you, you know, how far removed you are from what we actually at in life. Because you're still talking about phone booths. You're trying to talk bad about Deontay Wilder, but you're saying phone booth, bro. And you're trying too hard to speak outside of who you really are. When people say dude, you know what I'm saying? Dude, really is somebody that you've spoken to or been on a panel before, and they're just trying to sound different than what they actually, converse or communicate while they're on a panel. But listen, stop talking, you know, because the wrenches are going to be on that ass, man. All you got to do is click the link so the wrenches won't be on your ass. Just click the link, man. It's right here. That's all. That H word is not hate. It's just opinions. That's all. You're wasting time. I enjoy, you know what I'm saying? I enjoy the time and effort that you put into this, but boxing is not my only sport. And I've never seen you around here under that name. Obviously, you went from Alabama Boxing News and switched it up to Jeremy. So I'm waiting on you to do some more homework, put some more effort into it, and switch up and come back in. You know what I'm saying? So basically, moving on. It's no need. You're not gonna click the link anyway. What's next in boxing, man? Definitely have to move forward. I just provide just a little bit of time. I just provide a little bit of time, and then I got to move on, man, to something a bit more interesting. Do you truly believe, those of you that's in the chat, right? Do you truly believe Terrence Crawford and Virgil Ortiz will happen? Do you think that somehow, some way, De La Hoya will make that fight? Anyway, Bob Arum, because Terrence Crawford contract expires. My understanding, it expires with Top Rank in October this year. So, do you believe that somehow Top Rank and Golden Boy can do business? Because from what I'm hearing, like, you hear Terrence Crawford, Sean Porter potentially fighting, but coming off that performance and him stopping a fighter that was in the stable in the camp of Crawford, it would be good to see that fight. But I truly don't think that Terrence Crawford is going to fight Virgil Ortiz. Like, in my opinion, I'm gonna be honest with you, it'll be a step back for Terrence Crawford to fight Virgil Ortiz. I think if anything, it'll be good for him to fight Sean Porter. Sean Porter's a legitimate name, even though he's lost the big names. Sean Porter show up to get it in with his. I'm talking about leveling up to the competition, of course. Sean Porter would show up. Like, Sean Porter can fight this way that time and then come in here and be totally different. As we seen with Danny Garcia Danny Garcia fight and then the way he fought Errol Spence. So he's proven that he can change levels and give you different looks. Or he can be grimy in your chest, head to head, and give you that energy. So once again, we have individuals want him to fight a common opponent again in Errol Spence. You know, Kell Brook was removed out the game up at 54 for several fights, and then he dropped back down to 47. Stopped in the fourth round. So now coming back full circle, people still want to see him, Terrence Crawford fight somebody that's fought Errol Spence. So if it's Sean Porter, I would rather him take that fight rather than Virgil Ortiz. Because seriously, I believe he stops Virgil Ortiz. And then people are going to look at him like, oh, you don't have nobody on your resume. Virgil Ortiz was too green. They're going to give him that Canelo Alvarez versus Floyd Mayweather type of energy. They are. They're going to say, oh, man, Virgil Ortiz wasn't ready for Terrence Crawford. Let's be real. He wasn't ready. He just wanted to be on the share the ring with Terrence Crawford and see, could he go in there and give a good show. Terrence Crawford would stop Virgil Ortiz, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Did y'all see how his face looked against Maurice Hooker? Terrence Crawford would stop this guy 7 to 8 rounds. Put that prediction out there for whoever that guy is over there whining and crying. Put that prediction out there. I think Terrence Crawford stops Virgil Ortiz in the 7 to 8 round. What do y'all think? I truly believe he does. But really, I want to see him face Sean Porter. I'm tired of people talking about comparing welterweight resumes between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, when Errol Spence, not too long ago, he was fluctuating in between super welterweight and welterweight, and then decided to settle down and fight fighters who was in the welterweight division and get a title shot against Kell Brook. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, he's been back and forth. While he was fluctuating in between two divisions, Terrence Crawford was elevating his divisions, doing what he had to do in the sport of boxing. And now we at the platform we at now. Now, a lot of people are saying that the fight will probably not happen, but more so, I'm looking at it like, okay, if Terrence Crawford fights Sean Porter, cool. He decides to move up to 54, cool. I'm cool with it. I'm saying. Also, what do y'all think about Beterbiev, who just came off a win? He somewhat called out freaking Canelo Alvarez. The IBF and WBC champion unified now. Artur Beterbiev, 16-0, 16 knockouts. Hey, he has interest in fighting Canelo Alvarez. I think that'd be a good fight, and that's a name that would definitely should entice Canelo Alvarez after he finished up with the super middleweight division. Whatever happens, if he's able to unify the super middleweight division and defeat Caleb Plant, then this will be another fight on his resume. But peep this out, though. It's only a matter of time before Canelo Alvarez slows the fuck down. I'm not saying anytime soon, but it's going to come a time when he's going to stop fighting these, tough fights, so to speak, and chill. On Boxing 24, they say with Canelo, he got a taste of how difficult it can be for him at light heavyweight when he dethroned WBO champion Sergey Kovalev in 2019. Canelo won the fight by a one-punch knockout in the 11th, and this was nowhere near the prime version of Kovalev that he fought. The then 36-year-old Kovalev looked to be a shadow of a fighter who ruled the 175-pound division 7 years early in 2012. Beterbiev will likely attack and hold up. They say when Kovalev did apply a lot of pressure on Canelo in the 8th, you could see what a bigger fighter could do against the 5'8" Mexican star. Canelo was getting bounced around the ring by Kovalev in that round. It goes on to say Beterbiev will likely attack in the same in every round, and he will have to dig deep to try and win. In other words, this wouldn't be a gimme type of fight against an Abney Yildirim level opponent for Canelo. Man, I can't believe they even inserting Abney Yildirim name into the equation. Like, you have Rocky Fielding and you have Calvin Smith. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just other names other than Abney Yildirim. They say Canelo is a cool boxer. I like him. It will not be an obstacle to enter the ring with him if there is an offer. I would gladly fight, Beterbiev said to the Zone. Canelo 30 is busy this year trying to capture all the super middleweight division titles. He already won the WBA, the WBC, and Ring Magazine at 168-pound belts. All Alvarez has left is fights against WBO champion Billy Joe Saunders on May 8th, and then IBF champion Caleb Plant in September, provides he gets that far. What do y'all think about that fight, man? I mean, I would definitely like to see Artur Beterbiev that fight. As much as I don't want to talk about Dillian White, I'm not going to do it, bro. I'm not going to give him that energy today. I'm not. He just say some dumb shit. So I'm not going to give Ryan Garcia any play today because he's the biggest capper in boxing, man. I'm not going to give him any play. I'm not going to give Dillian White any play today either. I want to also break this to the ones who haven't really been on top of it, ever since they actually fought. If it's one individual that Mike Tyson had a tough time with when he was fighting was Evander Holyfield, right? So word behind the scenes has been deep that Evander Holyfield has been trying to get Mike Tyson back in the ring. And Evander Holyfield is older than Mike Tyson. News just broke not too long ago that Team Holyfield that Mike Tyson rejected a 25 million guarantee for a trilogy. 25 million, y'all. They said representatives of Evander Holyfield expressed frustration after Mike Tyson representatives refused to accept a 25 million guarantee from Team Holyfield to participate in Tyson vs. Holyfield 3 at the Hard Rock Stadium to kick off Memorial Day weekend. The parties have been in tense negotiations for several months, and Team Holyfield sincerely believed a deal was imminent, especially after the Hard Rock threw its support behind the project, and there were multiple other offers conveyed to Team Tyson. However, Team Tyson demands recently, and not what Mike Tyson had originally agreed on in direct conversation with Holyfield. What do y'all think about this, man? I mean, look, we please don't respond and say Mike Tyson's ducking Holyfield. We already know in history that this was a difficult matchup for Mike Tyson. It don't matter if he was in or out of prison. It don't matter. At that point in time, it was a tough matchup. We all know the history they have with each other. They say we thought this was a done deal, but it quickly fell apart when Tyson's people declined all offers, said Chris Lawrence, Evander Holyfield's manager. We were negotiating in good faith all along, and it appears we just ended up wasting our time. Holyfield shocked the world when he stopped Tyson in 11 rounds to capture the heavyweight title in 1996. Their rematch in 97 saw Tyson disqualified in the third round after he bit off a piece of Holyfield's ear. Not exactly true, okay? Mike Tyson bit off Evander Holyfield's right ear, and the fight was the doctor allowed the fight to resume. Not until he bit Evander Holyfield's left ear, the fight was stopped for a double foul. You know what I'm saying? So it really wasn't stopped because he bit off an ear. Else the doctor would have said, okay, the fight stopped right now because the piece of the ear was missing. But not until he bit the left ear of Vander Holyfield, and Vander was jumping around the ring, so he bit me again. Mills Lane stopped the fight. SB90 in the building. What's good? I didn't see Coach Chris over here. What's good, Coach?
Man, what's going on with you, World Combat, my guy?
What's going on, Coach? It's always good to have you on board, man. What you got to talk about, my brother?
Man, well, I'm actually sitting here drawing up my workout, man. I got my young all-star QB I trained today, so I'm just finishing putting the finish touches on his workout. Just wanted to say, man, European boxing is a complete joke. Anybody that wants to come on and debate me about it is always more than welcome. But of course, we know that there will be no takers because trolls don't, spend money, and trolls don't actually speak on what they talk about. They just leave weak ass comments, especially considering the fact that Tyson Fury is the weakest heavyweight champ in the history of boxing. And, boxing is corny right now. I got to tell you, I'll be honest with you, World Combat. Who was fighting this weekend? It was Victor Ortiz, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, you know what I was watching instead? I was watching the World Slap Championships, bro, on Fight TV. And you know what?
I stopped through that too, man. You know what I'm saying?
You know what?
Yeah.
Entertaining.
Very entertaining.
You know what's not entertaining?
Do you watch Timber Sports too, man?
I have not. I didn't watch it this weekend. Man. But you know what's not entertaining? Boxing. Boxing is corny as shit right now. I mean, we're talking about in the past 6 months, the biggest fight we've had in boxing was Errol Spence, Danny Garcia.
Yep.
We haven't had any unifications. Haven't had any championship rematches. Boxing is a complete joke. I'm telling you right now, these people do all this talking, your Eddie Hearns, your Bob Arams, they don't got no money, yo. Because you know what? UFC's putting on big fights. Francis Ngannou's fighting me, Stipe Miocic this weekend, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's a big fight. It's a big fight. You know what I'm saying? NBA's still going on. NFL's still going on. Baseball's about to start up. Boxing, I've actually written to some people because I'm I do some work for I don't just train, so I do some other things, right? And I've reached out to some people like, yo, what's going on? Like, boxing is just kind of ridiculous. Why does nobody want to do it? And you know what they say to me? They say, first of all, who gives a shit about boxing? Like the whole Wilder cheating. Like, why isn't that on TV? Why isn't anybody talking about it? They're like, first of all, nobody cares because boxing is so goddamn shady that nobody cares. Like, it's to the point where in the US, man, boxing is not even really a sport. Almost. It's almost like delving into the realm of wrestling, whereas nobody gives a shit about it. If there's a big fight, they'll cover it and they'll watch it. But on the actual what's happening, what's going on, they don't care. And it's because these promoters are killing the sport and the fans are supporting it because the fans are tribalistic. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You got people literally making excuses for Canelo Alvarez not to fight. You got people literally making excuses for Tyson Fury to not give someone a rematch after winning the belt from him for the second time. Just complete and utter BS. You know what I'm saying? You can't duck out of the Super Bowl. You can't duck out of the NBA championship, but somehow you can duck out of fights. And you got guys like Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum that basically ruin the sport of boxing. And we're left with this. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you the truth, man. Boxing has not recovered from Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather taking 5 years. Yeah, they made a lot of money when it finally happened and they had a big pay-per-view. But the sport has not recovered from that. Sport has not recovered from that, man. And, as long as you got people that are going to make excuses for bullshit, you're going to see the sport die. I mean, UFC is 25 years old, and like they're right there with boxing. Boxing's 100+ years old, man, and like you're behind UFC in the biggest media market in the world, America. So
especially when the pandemic hit, Coach. You know what I'm saying? Like when
they
Dana
can't put
White,
on big fights without a gate.
yeah, when Dana White said that they was gonna attempt to put on fights, even when shit was shut down, he was out here trying to, go to Abu Dhabi. He was planning on, just trying to have fights with other audience. To him, he didn't care because they're basically have, their set of matchmakers and they're governed. So they're not open ended like boxing. Just have all these entities that has shit to say about this, and what I'm saying, unable to come to the negotiation table and make these fights happen. UFC, they have their matchmakers, they have their president, and they get the shit popping. And I remember people used to criticize the shit out of me for saying I cover boxing and MMA, but that's the main reason why I cover both sports, because I always was somewhat enamored with how fast the sport of mixed martial arts was growing. And the reason why it was growing, because it's interesting to be able to train multiple disciplines and go ahead and compete. And a lot of people won't look at it that way, but it's a lot more technically demanding than boxing in a sense, because you might get kicked in the head, you might get hit in the jaw, you face other challenges with your joints being cracked by submissions. So I like what the UFC is doing, Bellator, PFL, all these neighboring organizations that's coming on deck and putting on these cards. You have Bellator and PFL about to put on a tournament. That's one thing that I'm waiting on the UFC to do, just once, put on a tournament.
Yeah,
I don't know why boxing don't have another tournament, man. Like, I know we had the World Boxing Super Series, but something like the Super Six, something.
these people greedy, man. Greedy. Greedy. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
I'm just saying they're just freaking greedy, bro. Like they're so freaking greedy, and it's so shady. I mean, like we got people that go on YouTube and they argue with you about what Bob Arum says. And this is somebody who's damn near a felon for lying and for corruption.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Eddie Hearn, a liar, like, completely like gets in the way of big fights and completely ruin boxers' careers. Like, does he? I don't think people understand the damage that he did to Anthony Joshua by not having him fight Wilder and then putting him in the ring with Andy Ruiz on short notice and losing. Like, he should get sued for that. That was malpractice.
Yeah, if you want to call it that, yeah. I mean, but it can only be malpractice if Eddie Hearns was the one that.
Yourself
I mean, I
arguing
understand where you're going, but I would think it's more so. Damn, what's the word? It just lost me. Goddamn. Well, in a way, you're right. You're right. It could be malpractice, yeah. Because in a legal standpoint,
these people are just on the internet arguing anti whoever boxing fans support. They're going to be anti. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the people that are like, oh yeah, you guys like him, so we're just anti him. Like, no one's really a Fury fan. Like, Tyson Fury does not have fans, right?
Unless he's fighting Wilder.
But you know what? A bunch of white folks will certainly pay a lot of money to see him beat that black Negro's ass. And
yeah,
that's just life. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we're sitting here arguing with people that aren't even fans of the sport, and their thoughts and what they're talking about is brought into consideration. And the sport is literally dying, It's literally dying, and it's too funny. Like, so you got people in the U.S. that are actually going to sit and say, yeah, Fury should skip out on a contractually obligated rematch to fight Anthony Joshua on pay-per-view in America at 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Saudi Arabia because they can't have the fight in England because Fury's a drug cheat. He can't, fight anybody without taking steroids. So,
and he doesn't have a license. He don't have a license over there either.
Well, I mean, you look at, he's been doing drugs his whole damn life. It's not like some kind of, it doesn't take freaking McNulty from The Wire to figure this out, man. Like, he's got a substance abuse problem, and he's got a drug problem, and he's an athlete. So taking steroids is not a big deal. Like, if you've snorted cocaine before, man, taking steroids ain't a big deal.
Yeah, you're right.
That's not a big deal. And I mean, boxing, all these guys are. There's a lot of drug abusers, man. Boxing has more drug fails than NFL football, statistically speaking. So, there's a lot of drugs in combat sports, man. So, I was doing like my share of content on like boxing and stuff like that. But it's almost getting like, I don't even care. Like, I don't even want to watch this stuff. Like this is ridiculous. Like, we really got to go through all this to get Fury back into the ring with Deontay Wilder. Like this is the guy that people are supporting and are saying they're fans of, and they cheer for him, and he's just gonna sit there and be scared of another man. Like, you cheated and you were rabbit punching in the fight, and now you don't want to get back in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody made you cheat, nobody made you fight dirty, and you really gonna just run away from the rematch? And like, people are supporting that? Like, they're not fans of yours, bro. They're just Wilder haters. Because, like, if you were a fan of him, you'd be like, well, yeah, get back in the ring with him. Beat his ass again. But, they're like, oh, we've already seen it. Like, come on, get out of here.
Yeah. They weren't saying that about Anthony Joshua, though. When he lost his titles, they were supporting him.
Well, I mean, this is the Jerk Wilder situation here. You know what I'm saying? Because I firmly believe part of the reason why Eddie Hearn didn't want AJ to make the fight with Wilder is just didn't want that Negro to make that much money. Wilder don't have a promoter. And, some people just don't like to see certain people don't like to see certain people make a lot of money, World Combat. We both know that, right? Yeah, so, especially if you have if you have those types of feelings anyway about those certain types of people, like, some people feel like if a certain person's making money, if they don't have their hands in it, they don't want to see him get anything. So, that's just life, and that's just the way that whole thing go. Know what I'm saying? But I firmly believe they just didn't want to see him get that kind of money, and didn't want to see the accolades that he would receive after that fight. Because like you were saying before, if Wilder and AJ fight happens and Wilder knocks him out, as we all know he probably was going to do, Wilder's the biggest star in boxing, unquestioned. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I believe
at this point, don't mean to cut you off, but I believe at this point, with him being out of the sport, more people are talking about him trying to return to the sport. They're doing it in a negative, non-supportive way. They're just bringing that attention by requesting to talk shit. But really, truly, they want to see him back in the ring, because the heavyweight division, without him, it's nothing. It's really nothing. There's no excitement to it. Or nothing. People, like I was saying earlier, people act like they want Fury, Joshua, but really they want Deontay Wilder. They just don't want to let people know they support Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, they don't want to see it, man, because it's not. These other guys aren't entertaining. They're not entertaining, man. They're just like AJ's last fight versus Pulev. Like, all right, whatever. AJ versus Ruiz, the rematch, boring. AJ versus Ruiz the first time, got his ass whooped. Dillian White, non-factor. Joseph Parker's a non-factor. There's 3 guys, and one of them isn't fighting anybody. So it just shows you, man, like, and then Anthony Joshua, right? Like, who's like he's just a big fake. He's not the man. He's not a champ. I mean, so you're gonna sit there and tell me that the unified heavyweight champ of the world is signing on and waiting to fight a guy. He's waiting to get into a contract with somebody who's breaking a contract. That's what you're telling me the unified heavyweight champ of the world is doing. He's waiting
to see if it's expired.
He's trying to see if this guy can break his contract, which will be the 3rd contract he's broken, to see if he can go ahead and put his belt up on the line to fight this guy. And that just tells you how bad of a promoter Eddie Hearn was. So Eddie Hearn thinks this is a good idea, but fighting on pay-per-view in Las Vegas versus Deontay Wilder with a $50 million guarantee, that wasn't a good idea. But getting into a freaking contract with the biggest fraud in the history of boxing, that's a good idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like it just lets you know that these people really got ulterior things on their mind, and it's not about boxing. You know, boxing and sports mimics life, man, and you can't just go over, and you can't just, you know, move past the politics of the day. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's racism in life. There's going to be racism in sports. It is what it is. It's just crazy.
And we do know it's racism over there in the UK, whether people want to identify it or not.
I love how they act like there's no racism in the UK and they throwing bananas on soccer fields and shit while people trying to play soccer.
Oh, it's not going football. Come on.
And freaking soccer players getting racially abused by their supposed fans. And like, I'm a Chelsea fan. That's happened to players on our team in the past 12 months. You know what I'm saying? And like, I just love how white folks be trying to act like there ain't no racism. Like, shut y'all asses up, man. Like, there's definitely racism. You know what I'm saying? So just, you know, it is what it is, man. Like, it's just, you know, Dillian White, like, nobody cares about that goddamn fight. And AJ, you know, I mean, we know what type of time he on. He poses in wasn't he in that damn he was in a go-kart or a cart with some Arabs, and they had him in there with the monkeys and shit, and he just, you know, playing the role for these people for a check. Like, a lot of people will do, because that's the thing, man. Like, they'll pay you if you'll do whatever for the check. But if you want to stand on your square and be a man, a lot of people got a problem seeing a black man get his money that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got a real problem. They'll pay you as an employee, but they won't pay you as a man. Feel me? As a business owner. They got a problem with that. See, that's a problem right there. Like, why I gotta come to you like an equal? Like, I should be able to treat you like a boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you to pose with these monkeys, motherfucker, pose with these monkeys. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they don't mind paying guys like AJ that. You know what I'm saying? They don't mind that. That's not a problem. That don't hurt them as bad. But you go ahead and line up a strong black man's pockets who's his own boss. Yeah, got a problem with that. That's a problem. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. It's life. Boxing's just in the crapper. You know, got Canelo about to fight this fixed ass fight versus Billy Joe Saunders, which will be a fixed ass fight. You know what I mean? Everybody knows. So
yeah, it's more so you have a lot of fights come on where people know the outcome. Like, you know, even with this Fury Joshua fantasy fight, people pretty much understand that the outcome may be as it may. You know, Fury might come in there and give us that same energy that he gave Klitschko. You know what I'm saying? It might be him fighting a boring ass fight, picking and choosing when he wants to engage, and then people be disappointed, and they should be disappointed because with Wilder out of the sport, he's still a part of the sport big time because he's holding up the heavyweight fight for Fury Joshua the way it should be. He's standing on the square. He's standing on the square. He's fighting for what he knows is right.
That was a mirage versus Wilder. He's not going to fight anybody like that ever again. That's not going to happen. If he fights anybody like that, where he just walks in there and just beats the hell out of somebody, if he does that again, I will cash out you $400. He's not going to do that again. He look, that fight was fixed, bro. Why do you? If he could just walk into the ring and do that again, then why is he running from the damn rematch then?
I agree.
Why?
There's a lot of corruption on that fight. It was a lot of corruption. Shout out Michael Lewis, man. Shout out to you, my brother. What's good?
Well, I got to run, man. Let me set up for this training, man. But I just wanted to drop that line with you.
Hey, Coach, how you doing, man? Before you leave, man, I want to ask you a question. How you doing? My name's Troy Graham. Can you hear me?
What's going on, man?
I'm good, man. Listen, man. You know, you mentioned Alvarez. You know, and you said he's not fighting anybody. Who's he not fighting? Who's he not fighting? Because right now he's trying to get all the belts at 168. So who's he not fighting?
Okay, first of all, I can give a fuck about 168. You know what I'm saying? First of all, because 168, that's super middleweight. That's one of them in between divisions. Okay, he was one belt away from being the undisputed middleweight champ. You know what I mean? We just lost one of the great undisputed middleweight champs in Marvin Hagler. he could have been the man like Marvin Hagler was the man, but he decided that instead of fighting Jamal Charlo, he wanted to go fight Dickie Fielding or whatever that motherfucker's name was. So I don't have time for Canelo Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? Like
why'd
that's
you bring him up then?
Well, I brought him up because he's part of the conversation, but I'm not really trying to talk about Canelo because it's really pretty fucking obvious. I mean, you're gonna sit there and campaign for somebody's belt, but then not fight him. Benavidez, he running scared from Benavidez, and he can beat Benavidez, bro. But people want to take no risk. I don't believe
he's running scared from anybody because we can't change the past. He's not at 160 no more, but he is at 168. So that's what he's doing his work. So who do you want him to fight at 168? Because you said he ain't fighting anybody. Who do you want him to fight that's at 168?
You know what, man? If you're gonna make excuses for the man, then so be it, brother. I'm not there with you though, champ.
What excuses? I'm just saying that he's at 168. So who would you like to see him fight at 168?
I could give a fuck who he fights at 168. Like, I'm being honest with you, yo. Like, he's already disrespected himself. So
I don't see how at all. How did he disrespect himself, sir?
Well, what can I tell you, man? Opinions vary, man. I'm not here to discourage you from your opinion. Like, I'm not. I can't. I got to be honest with you. I could care one way or less if you agree with me or not. I'm on my man platform stating my opinion. All I can say is he ran from Andrade. He ran from Paulo, and he's continuing to run from these guys. He campaigned for a man's belt that lost butt on the scales. I don't respect him as a fighter. If these other guys want to play the role and do this and that with him, then
I would agree with you at this point. Listen, I would agree with you if Charlo moves up to 168 and he gets a belt and then he doesn't fight him. I would agree with you and all that, but I just can't agree that he's running from anybody because I just
been running for him since 154, man. But you know what?
It's just not fact. It's just not a fact.
It is a fact.
No, it's not a fact. It's absolutely not. But go on, brother. Go on.
He's not trying to fight him. So
he's at 168. They're 160. So they have to move up and get a belt because he has tunnel vision. He's getting all the belts. So why would he fight somebody at 160?
He got tunnel vision now. But before, when he was making Canelo weights, why don't they fight at 164? Yeah,
forgot about Canelo weight. Listen. That's the past, brother. That's the past, brother. We have no control over it. And honestly, we don't know the whole story because we're not behind closed doors.
I'll tell you this, man. I can only use the past to determine your future, brother. You know what I'm saying? That's why records matter. That's why you got a credit report. But I gotta go. Take it easy, baby.
How do you determine the present then? Right, exactly. All right, World Combat. I just want to ask the brother that, man. You have a good day, man.
All right.
How come you sound so far away, man?
Because I am. I'm multitasking right now.
Okay, well, cool. I'm gonna get back to cooking this fish because we ain't going down this road again. We did it last night. So hey, man, I meant to give you some
making rounds, man. Every time.
No, listen. No, I ain't gonna make no rounds. I'm gonna go cook my fish and vegetables, but I actually want to give you some. I want to give you something that you don't give me. I'm gonna give you some respect. You are fair to a point.
I'll let you on the panel.
I got you, but listen. Let me finish my.
If I ain't respect you, I wouldn't have let you on the panel, bro.
Okay. Let me finish. Let me finish my statement. I said you are fair to a point, and then you come up with fairy tales. But you good at what you do. For the people that you do it for.
What fairy tales? What fairy tales?
You have a good night, man. I'm gonna keep supporting and all that, and to go from there. And
I'm just saying. So you make a statement, and then you want to abort mission without explanation.
No, just okay. I'll just use me as the main subject.
No, right? Just use what you want to use.
Yeah, me. It'll be me as the main subject this time. It won't be any. Oh well, I love.
Don't come on here butthurt because I removed you from the damn panel.
On, man. Listen. Listen, World Combat, man. Me and you have too much respect for that little nonsense terms like that. Come on now. But
bro, get to your point, man. Look, people are always trying to get me all serious. I'm trying to help you.
I'm getting to my point, but
you said fairy tales. So I want you to explain fairy tales to me. What's up?
Okay, you constantly say that I don't like American fighters, right? That's your thing. I don't like American fighters and yada yada yada. Which is absolutely not true. Heavyweights. Yeah, but that's a fairy tale. That's not true. It's absolutely not true. I love boxing, so I can't really say that I put my all into one fighter. Now there are some fighters that I can say that I really truly appreciate, and I'm not gonna move off that stance. But listen to me. There's no one fighter that's actually bigger than boxing. None.
I never said it. I
Nah.
understand that. I never said there was one
Right.
fighter bigger than boxing.
Right. But listen, man, I'm gonna go cook this fish. You keep doing what you're doing, man. You keep doing what you're doing. And you know
Next,
what?
explain to I'm good at what I do to the people who willing to listen. What do you mean? I cover boxing and MMA.
That
So
should be
unless look
self-explanatory, man.
and grappling, BJJ, and other
Grappling? Okay.
sports. So I am not just a single sport media outlet. So
Okay. Okay.
you need to show some type of attention to that. I'm not just on here talking about boxing, bro.
Yeah, well, that's true too. No, I think that should be self-explanatory. Those people that come over here and hear you speak on multiple sports, those are the ones that really appreciate what you do, and there's others that peep in and out like me that appreciate what you do as well. So yeah,
There's no
so
disrespect, man. If it was personal, I wouldn't even entertain you.
ain't no. You
Even
mean
though you are the numero uno wilder hater on this YTC community, I understand it. You are the grand central
I'm
hater
not
when
dancing
it
with
comes
you
to
tonight,
Deontay
baby.
Wilder. I get it.
With you. I'm not dancing with you. I got fish to cook. I ain't
Yeah, I get it.
dancing with you. Man, I ain't dancing with you, man. I ain't dancing with you. I gotta get this fish to cook, and it ain't gonna take long. Just some salmon and some stir fry vegetables tonight, man. That's it. But
Yeah, for
yeah, just
sure.
keep doing what you're doing, man. I have respect for you and all that. And old boy that was there yesterday, I was taking everything I said about Alabama out of context. He all right too.
But
What's
that
his
was some
name? Dion?
bullshit, Troy. That was bullshit.
Huh?
You talking about
What did I
Alabama
say?
fried chicken? That was some
What's
bullshit. What are
wrong?
you
What's
talking
wrong
about?
with Alabama fried chicken? That's like saying Baltimore fried chicken. Is something wrong with it?
Because really, when you have three black men on a panel and you mention Alabama fried chicken, which that's the first time I heard Alabama extensively being like mentioned with fried chicken. That's the
Oh,
first time.
man. Don't do it.
That's
Don't
the
play
first
that
time.
pity.
See, when I went to Alabama, I ate some freaking ribs. I didn't hear shit about no fried
Okay.
chicken.
Oh, okay. Well, don't play that petty game. I simply said
I'm just
I,
being honest. Like I'm from the
I'm
South,
being
so where did Alabama fried chicken come from?
because I said oh boy's retired. He's sitting at home making Alabama fried chicken. That's what I said. And then he for some reason, brother said, well, you can't say that. Why not? It was funny to me. That's like you to okay.
Okay,
I'm
I
from
get
New
what you're
York.
saying. Look, I get what you're
Mhm.
saying about all of us being black and because we joke around with each
No,
other about that, in general. I get what you're saying, but it's the fighter that you said it about, which is a bit disrespectful. You know what I'm saying?
you know what? I could say the sky is
Deontay
blue.
Wilder.
I could say the sky is blue and say his name. It'll be disrespectful to
Oh
y'all.
no
Go
no
ahead.
no no! You're using like sentiments that are considered derogatory towards black people when it comes to fried chicken, watermelon, and everything else.
Am I Caucasian?
No, I'm just saying
Yeah.
when you don't like a person and then you say, okay, I say, Troy, well, go ahead and eat your fried chicken over there and
Yeah.
watermelon. Enjoy that. That even though we may joke about it between each other, I'm using it in a disrespectful manner. It's not that big to me. I get what you're saying. And
Yeah.
Dion kind of took it. It pretty much you was disrespecting, somebody who he grew up with from high school. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
He grew up with it.
that honestly, I don't disrespect like that. I would just disrespect outright. I was making a I was making a joke, and if he cooked any fried chicken, then I would ask him for some. I like fried chicken, and okay, and I told him I like biscuits too. But go on back to your show, man. I'm
And
gonna go cook
grits.
this.
Go ahead, grits. What
Grits?
else?
I don't know. Well, I'm shrimp and grits. Yeah, shrimp and grits is good with me. Yeah, that's all right. But we ain't gonna turn this into a World Combat cooking show. So I'm gonna jump off and go cook my fish, man. You
All
have
right,
a
cool,
good
man.
day,
All right.
brother.
Mitch in the building. What's good with you, bro? Mitch said Fury a fuckboy and AJ just seemingly mentally weak. I saw something in eyes when he lost to Reeves that I never liked to see from a fighter. True self-doubt and fear was in his eyes. I believe, you weren't the only one that's seeing that. Like if anybody, what you just said, don't see it, with his freaking coach rubbing on the back of his neck like he was a little kid, on the first day of grappling practice, BJJ practice. That's kind of the way it looked like. You know what I'm saying? When a kid walks into a combat sport like boxing for the first time and they all nervous and shit and they're not sure they want to be in there. AJ had that look walking in there with Ruiz. They was rubbing on the back of his neck, massaging him, trying to rejuvenate. I don't know what the conversation was like back in the dressing room, but hey, I agree with you saying it was something different. 168 is sweet, and Canelo knows it. He's a good fighter, though. He'd be the favorite. Most of these guys make the fights. It's just Canelo's been able to do what he's been able to succeed in easily. And going into this Billy Joe Saunders fight, once again, there has to be a matter of optimism when it comes to these fights. Like the optimism going in there for Billy Joe Saunders to upset Canelo Alvarez is very minimal, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's very minimal. Like, are they truly believing that Billy Joe Saunders can upset Canelo Alvarez? I don't think majority of the boxing fans are looking at it that way. And then for Canelo to then step up to my boy Sweet Hands, I look at that being a very solid fight, right? And being that I've seen Caleb Plant box, I think it's going to be a tougher fight than people giving credit to Caleb Plant. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be tough because Caleb can box. He's slick. He can box. I'm just curious to know how he's going to take the body work. When you have somebody that commits the body work like Canelo, we all know that thorough body attacks will slow a fighter down. We've seen it happen several times over. When you have a body snatcher, individuals that can commit to the hooks the way Canelo does to the body, it's going to slow down that movement. And then when a fighter starts to back up in the corner or up against the ropes, Canelo goes over there and goes to the body again. I mean, hey, it will be interesting. Or Caleb Plant may definitely have the answer because he had plenty of time to prepare for Canelo. And he may have the answer. I'm not counting him out. I like Caleb Plant. You know what I'm saying? But also I have to give respect to Canelo Alvarez for the moves he's making in boxing, how he's making them. I mean, he's doing it with such ease and contentment, man. When he's up here scheduling fights on top of fights. Yeah, I got Abner Yildirim, but after him, I have Billy Joe Saunders, and then I'm headed to Caleb Plant. I mean, come on, bro. Like, Canelo Alvarez, his organizer is on point. His boxing organizer, his schedule is on point. This is what I'm going to do. Watch me do it. Real talk. Don't be mad. I always say this. We need other fighters to step up and implement their decision-making process as aggressive as this. You know what I'm saying? Really. These are individuals who are holding belts. I don't see any other fighter doing it like that right now. He's going up there fighting fighters with belts. Exclude Abner Yildirim. If it's that easy, why isn't everybody doing it? Go defeat Rocky Fielding, move up to 75, Kovalev. I don't care if he's old or not. If it was that easy, why anybody else from the lower divisions do it? I don't want to hear anything like, if you are talking about Canelo and what he's doing, and you frown upon it or have criticism about it, why isn't anyone else doing it? For him to drop back down and face a bona fide champion, wash him, fight Abner Yildirim, wash him, about to go in here with Billy Joe Saunders, a champion. He has committed to unifying the super middleweight division. He's committed to doing it. And then he say he's gonna finish up with Caleb Plant, the IBF world champion, super middleweight. If he's able to do this, complete this whole entire gauntlet before the welterweight division come close to unifying, it's a bit disgraceful to the sport of boxing, for real. Because like I said before, when it comes to black fighters, I would want them to take the lead as such. Don't be mad and making it a torchlit parade against Canelo Alvarez if some of your other favorite fighters are not making the same moves as Canelo Alvarez. Then you're just being a fan of the fighter and you're not really a fan of boxing. You know what I'm saying? You have to make up your mind what you're going to do. If we're not able to get a fight at welterweight division, like Terrence Crawford said, we're moving on. I'm done. If the fight's not going to be made, moving on. Done. But I definitely salute the man for making the moves. Chad say BJ at plus 400, Fishy. Should be BJ plus 1,000. Hey, man, it depends on what they got going on. I seriously doubt. I don't know. I seriously doubt they would spread the odds extensively on this fight, because it's just too much doubt already. Like, people looking at this fight like Canelo going to get the job done. And I'm pretty sure some things going on behind the scene. They want Canelo to unify this division. That's one up that he'll have on Floyd. Outside of him having a blemish on his record, he will have a division unification to his boxing credentials. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, compare, Canelo's career to Floyd Mayweather. They want to compare. But when it comes down to it, him unifying the division is commendable. I'm just waiting on the next boxer to step up and do it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the jury's still out on Jerome Ennis, though. I like Jerome Ennis' boots. I'm looking to see what he do against Sergey Lipinets, who's a tough fighter in himself. He gave Mikey Garcia a run, but we'll have to see, how he comes out and play ball, with Sergey Lipinets. Plus, I want to see who established and demands that authority first with their power. Did Jerome Ennis has legitimate power? Does Sergey Lipinets has, the effective boxing delegation to keep Jerome Ennis honest in the fight? Will it be a one-way fight? A part of me saying I don't see it being a one-way fight with Sergey. Sergey is tough. I do see it as being a tough back and forth exchange, man. I just don't see one fighter dominating the other and stopping them. Like, I watched Sergey Lipinets get knocked down by Mikey Garcia in the 7th round. He got back up and he finished the fight. He was still pushing the issue. It was ebbs and flows in the fight, but he did have Mikey Garcia boxing off the back foot while he was taking punishment. Sergey, he's a tough dude. I mean, Jerome Ennis is a much quicker fighter, though. Much more boxing etiquette when it comes to Jerome Ennis versus Sergey Lipinets, in my opinion. But it's going to be a good matchup, man. Canelo minus 600. Last night, Ortiz was minus 800. Wow. Ortiz was minus 800. Damn. If something's fishy, I know they ain't trying to do. I don't know, man. I don't know. Sure, I've been on here for over a deuce. Y'all, I got to run. I got to get some staff training in. You know, um, salute everyone who pulled up though. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate all the supporters and everyone who support WCS, man. Stay tuned in. I might be on later on tonight talking about some mixed martial arts, though. Will not be about boxing, be about mixed martial arts. Like we said, we have that Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou fight coming up. You know what I'm saying? That's a big fight when it comes to the heavyweight division because the winner potentially will step in there with the one and only John Bones Jones. So I like Stipe Miocic, though. Seriously, I do. I like Stipe Miocic. You know, I mean, he fought a smart fight in their first fight. Nagano is a very strong mixed martial artist, but yet he's lacking his all around skill set and cage IQ with that strength. He needs to be smarter, not to depend on just loading up on his punches all the time. Because to be honest, I've seen fighters come and go in the UFC in the heavyweight division that has punching power. The only one that I've seen evolve as of recent, I've seen him evolve, and that's Derek Lewis. And Derek Lewis is somebody who has motherfucking heavy hands. He has heavy hands. So Derek Lewis may be the hardest puncher. Him and Francis Ngannou is damn near equal. But I seen his game evolve, man. He used to get put on his back, but people wasn't subbing him out. That was smarts. You know what I'm saying? That was smart. But this is going to be a very, very interesting fight, man. Stipe Miocic, the way he broke down, changed it up on DC, started digging to the body with that hook, that left hook. It's going to be very interesting to say the least. Canelo unifying the entire division in 12 months is big boy shit, no doubt. No doubt about it. We just want the same urgency from the fighters the fans are craving. I agree, man. Him going out here and setting the schedule for unification against top name opponents. Just because he made Callum Smith look crazy doesn't mean Callum Smith was a soft touch, man. It just stylistically, he couldn't accommodate. He didn't have anything for Canelo. For whatever that was. Like the dude's talking about moving up to 175 now. But Canelo went up there and fought what he fought. You know what I'm saying? He didn't play it safe. He boxed. And like you said, Mitch, he said he was going to unify the division. That was his focus. Charlo wasn't his focus. David Benavidez wasn't his focus. And he's sticking to the game plan. Next is beat Billy Joe Saunders. And in September, we will see potentially, if everything works out, Caleb Plant. Billy Joe Saunders has a better chance than Mo did for sure. We'll see, man. Billy Joe Sanders is a slick fighter. That's what they always talking about. Billy Joe Sanders is a smarter fighter than what people give him credit for. But we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. I'm looking forward to it though. Hey, y'all take it easy, man. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Salute.